everybody, welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us each and every week for a discussion of the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals with Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I am your host, Marcus Stewart. I am joined by Eric Van Allen.
Hello, hi. Completely normal intro time.
100% normal intro time, and when I think of normal intro times, you would not believe the number of times I've had to, on the spot, come up with weird intros for Charles Hart's based on previous statements. And this is the latest one. Because Charles Hart is the king of completely normal intros.
Wow, okay. Yes, hello. My name is Charles Hart. Nice to meet you. Here's my business card.
Yeah, you can tell this is definitely the first time that we've recorded this intro.
Yeah, this is our first take. Yeah, can you tell?
Yeah, they start calling us Stephen A. Smith because we're the king of first takes. Is this show right? First take?
I like how you couldn't even say the phrase king of first takes in one smooth sentence. As opposed to me, who is normal and professional all the time.
Yes, got the real Brian Gumble voice performance going on there, and I like it. Hey, everybody. This week, we're going to be talking about a few games. We got a brand new game that came out this week called Big Hops. If you follow the Game Informer YouTube channel, you might have seen our new gameplay today video with Charles Hart and Eric Van Allen playing through it. But we're going to have Charles give us the rundown on this.
It was with Alex. But it's fine. You know, they're interchangeable. We know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Alex Van Aken. I did the thing. I got the Vans.
It was going to happen sooner or later. Everyone on staff has done it at least once. It's fine.
I thought you were saying no because you were rejecting the idea of big hops from like a conceptual level.
Yeah. Hops should not be that big. The hops are too big in that game. I can't play them.
Yeah, you like Judy Hop size, nice and small. No taller than her. That's what you've always said.
Yeah, I definitely say that all the time.
Eric won't stop talking about Judy Hopps. He always brings her up when we talk about platformers.
And it's like weirdly like how she's the appropriate height, and you would be it would be upsetting if she was taller.
I'm gonna veto this whole side train of thought. We just gotta go.
Remember how we restarted the intro of this podcast saying it was too much and we needed to do a different one?
We immediately came back to Judy Hop. You can subscribe to GameInformer.com before we start. GameInformer.com/subscribe. We have magazines. Marcus is crying, so I'm trying to help.
We have to jump in now. Yeah. We do have magazines. World of Warcraft Midnight, our latest cover, is out there. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Charles is holding it up. Mine is in the other room. I was putting it in a magazine protector because I got a very nice gift of magazine protectors for Christmas. Look at that. Yes. 21 years of World of Warcraft. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's exactly. GameInformer.com/subscribe. If you want to support Game Informer, the best way to do it, get yourself a magazine subscription, 10 issues a year, physical and digital sent to you. You can also go to book stands and news stores to get yourself a copy of Game Informer, not only here in the U.S. in places like Barnes & Noble and Books A Million, but also abroad in a variety of countries. We've got the full list of countries that Game Informer appears in newsstands now on the website, but it's, some of them include Canada, the UK, Ireland, Japan, Dubai, even we've seen. It's pretty wild. But yes, if you want to support Game Informer, please get yourself a Game Informer magazine subscription. It's a great way to help us out. But yes, as I was saying before I killed myself with my own dumb joke, we're going to be talking about Big Ops. We're going to be talking about Metal Gear Solid Delta. We're going to be talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard, and also Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, as we're kind of in sort of a bit of a dead month for January. We're still kind of using the month as a chance to kind of go back and revisit some stuff, maybe play some older games for the first time, or finishing up, at least in my case, some of my lingering 2025 games. And then we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something I don't think we've ever really dived into on the show that I can recall. It's the state of subscription services in video games. So we're talking about your Xbox Game Pass, your PlayStation networks, your Nintendo Switch Onlines, maybe even your Apple Arcades. We're going to be kind of at the start of this year, kind of take a good look at the current landscape and kind of talk about whether or not, if we find whatever services that we're subscribed to still worth the money. Kind of talk about maybe how the prices have changed over the years, and by change I mean risen in the last year or so, and whether or not they still command the same value as they did maybe when they started, and maybe even a bit about like how are they going to grow and change throughout 2026 and sort of beyond. Where do we see these services going, and whether or not more or less people adopt them over time. So stay tuned for that in the back half of the show. But yes, as we alluded to completely normally, Big Hops, new 3D platformer out this week by a small developer named
Luckshot Games.
Luckshot Games, where you control a frog. It's our first froggy game of 2026, and it's got a lot of like kind of 3D Mario meets a bit of Breath of the Wild to it, where you're this frog exploring this big and really like vibrant and just sort of cheery 3D world. But Charles, you've been playing this. Tell us all about Big Hops.
Yeah, I've been playing a good bit. I'm like 5 hours in. The game from I think from what I've seen from the in-game dialogue and then also description, there's like 3 big main areas, and I just beat one of those big main areas.
Okay.
You play as Hop, and he's a little frog guy, and he basically gets like teleported into another dimension, and he's trying to go home. In order to go home, he needs these airship parts so he can, I guess, fly back home. And yeah, the actual gameplay is you got a 3D platformer. You've got a bunch of like movement techniques. And one of the things I was talking about in the new gameplay today, but just is one of my favorite things about it is there's often an intended path for you to get from point A to point B. It might be just through like wall running and jumping and diving and doing all your movement tech you have. There's also these veggies that you can throw that all have different like platforming helps. So one of them just like spawns ropes that you can like tightrope walk on. One of them bounces back and you can like use your tongue to grapple to it and bounce forward. There's a bunch of stuff like that. What I like about the game is that it's kind of designed where it's like, it's okay if you break us. Like, it's okay if you break the game with this move. All that it knows is that you can get to this point at some point, but there's never like quote unquote breaking the game in that regard isn't actually like ruining the fun at all. And they're kind of like embracing the very like systems based exploration. So it's a game that's like begging to be speed ran. Like it's one of those things that you'll see the techniques when it comes out eventually, and it's going to look crazy. You're going to be like, why are they obsessed with this veggie I never used in the game? Oh wait, you can use it for absolutely bonkers things. And yeah, it's voice acted pretty well. It's very cute. As I've played, I've gotten like a little bit more glitches. Like it's a little unpolished. It's been in development for like 6 years or so, but there's still just some things here and there.
Sure.
I had it crash one time. I had one area where there was like one of those, in video games, how there's a pole sticking out of a wall and you can jump towards it and then swing around it 100 or 360 degrees.
The Prince of Persia, we'll call it.
Yeah, a very, very classic video game item. I was just a thing just now. I was like, that's very video gamey. I've never seen someone do that in real life. I mean, I've seen it at like the Olympics, but not like mid parkour,
right circles to see it.
Yeah.
Is this a Florida thing?
Oh, I mean, have you seen our TikToks? Would that surprise you if I told you it was?
I guess GTA 6 is gonna have poles sticking out of walls. Anyways, but yeah, no. I had one where one of those wouldn't let me grab onto it, and it was like just like little things like that. It hasn't been anything absolutely game breaking. There's some like visual stuttering here and there, but it's really good. It's very pleasant and chill and laid back, and it's a nice like start to the year of just being like, I just want something new. And it's been a while since I personally have played, like, I think it's been since Astrobot that I've really just like sunk my teeth into a good 3D platformer. And yeah, it's nice and good. That's my review. I haven't reviewed it, but yeah, that's how I feel.
It looks cool. I think I'm with you where it's like, I think Astrobot was the last big 3D platformer that I really, really dived into. And even looking at the Steam page, they actually display in sort of the video preview, like some of the stats where they're kind of boasting, this is like a 15-hour main game, but it could take you over 30 hours to 100% it, which that's a lot bigger than I thought this game was looking at it. I honestly thought it was something like not quite a short hike, like an hour, but like 5 hours tops is sort of what my brain assumed about this game. So it's actually pretty cool that it's it's as big as it seemingly is. It's like got over 100 characters that are all fully voiced. And even just watching the like kind of the archive stream of the developer playing it, like there's a lot of cool stuff I'm just watching of like, oh, using your tongue to do a bunch of things, or like there's like a point where like Hops throws like a balloon on a ship to help it rise out of the sea, which gave me like Metal Gear Fulton Recovery vibes
Marcus,
a little bit.
That's the exact spot in the game I was stuck on.
Oh, did I just solve a problem for you?
Yeah, literally the last time I played the game, it was like, help lift the ship out of the water. And I was like, I don't freaking know how to do that. On an unrelated note, I found these fun new balloon veggies, and I haven't really used them for anything. I didn't. It's not like I was like stuck. Like, you know, I probably could have solved it whenever I wanted to. If I just like decided to. I just like hadn't yet. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, there's also like there's little purple collectibles. I think they're called dark bits. But as you get them over time, you unlock little trinkets, which are like patches you put on your character's backpack, and those will give you different like abilities or augment your hop in some way. So it'll be like, one of them is you can eat anything you can pick up. So you can eat like rocks and pots and stuff. And anytime you eat something, you heal yourself a little bit. So if you're having like a hard time, you can equip the eat everything badge, and then you basically just always have health around.
I would love to have that badge in real life. That'd be sick. Be awesome. All my problems solved. Just eat everything.
Yeah. I also like how all
does it.
Oh no, go ahead, Charles.
No. Let's talk about the game. I was gonna get us on a different tangent all over again. Marcus, you say what you were gonna say.
No, I was just saying I like how all the NPCs just look like they look like Animal Crossing villagers if they were all like, somewhat sus. Like they all have like, some of them have just like wide eyed, just almost look like they've seen things. Like some of them just look straight up shady. Like there's like a little bit of a, I don't know if that actually translates into like their characters or conversations, but just looking at them, it just like everyone here just looks a little weird and off in a way that I kind of like.
Are you worried that something is afoot in Big Hops? Are you like you're walking into a situation where you don't really know what's going on, but they all do, like kind of a Midsommar situation going on?
Oh wow! I'll tell you, you take 2 steps into Dusty Bluffs, and you'll know that something's wrong. Something's wrong in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems cool. I want to play it. And you know, this is a good month for something like this. Like I said, it's available now as of this week. It's on, like, you're playing on PS5. It's on Steam, and I believe it's also on Switch.
Yes.
Which I'm kind of leaning towards my platform. I think I might play it on Switch.
I would like Switch. I don't know how it runs on Switch. Like I was saying, there's some like slight technical issues on PS5, so I'm curious to see how it performs there. I was gonna say, just on the note of like you were talking about the character designs, there is a character, she's like a villain woman, and she like cusses, but the game like bleeps it out, which I think is very funny. It's like a really good way of like, I don't know, emphasizing how mean this person is while still kind of keeping it kid friendly. And also like a bleeped swear is always funnier than an unbleeped swear, because it's like, you have no idea what she said in that instance.
Yeah. Is it like a proper bleep, or did they have like a cute bleep or a cute censor?
It's a proper bleep.
Okay.
And even the like text box, it's like a bunch of, like in a comic book where they swear, it's just a bunch of like ampersand, exclamation point, parentheses, etc., that kind of thing. Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Big Hops. Check it out now, and also check out our new gameplay today video on our YouTube channel if you want to see Charles play it himself. I referenced the Fulton recovery system in this because I've got Metal Gear on the brain, because I've finished Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. I mentioned it last week that it was my kind of my winter break game, and I've since completed it. And I've also, you know, and another shout out to MinMax, I watched the Deepest Dive for that game immediately. Highly recommend. I thought it was very entertaining and funny, and you guys also had a lot of really great points. I was kind of in the Hanson boat, where it was the first time I played that game from start to finish since it came out, so about 20 years. And so there were a lot of things that I like. There were a lot of the broad strokes that I remembered, like I remembered all the boss fights and stuff, but then there were other segments where I was like, oh, I completely forgot this was in the game, like the Eva babysitting part towards the end. I was like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
remember this at all. I
Yeah.
almost had the moment like, did they add this in the remake? Is this like the one thing they added? How do I have no memory of this? And
Can you imagine if they remade your favorite game and they put an Unreal Engine 5, but then they added a mandatory escort mission right
mission,
before the
yeah,
final
yeah.
boss fight?
yeah,
That
they
would
said,
be
you know what this game was
crazy.
missing the first time that I think fans would really go crazy for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Escort
add a
mission.
turret sequence while we're at it. That game definitely doesn't have a turret sequence, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny you think about Metal Gear Solid like 3 Delta whatever does have a lot of those moments that have been reviled in games. It just does them really really well.
Mhm.
IMO like
Yeah.
that's
And it's weird because I played with the modern setup, so kind of like the Phantom Pain style, basically. Of it plays like a proper third person shooter in
Yeah,
post 2010s.
You're saying like the camera controls.
Yeah, like the camera controls and all that stuff. So I didn't play the original form just because like, oh, I already did that. I kind of want to see what this looks like with modern controls. And the answer is good to the point of almost trivializing some of the boss fights.
Mhm.
Where you realize like it still has a lot of the this game is such a faithful remake that you can still just see like, oh yeah, this is puzzle design of the era, or like this is like level design of like, oh, I've in my brain, again, my 20-year-old rose-colored glasses of this game, I'm picturing like, man, this game was like a giant forest and it was all sprawling and you're sneaking through all these bushes and it takes forever. And then like it's just these little like square zones of just like, here's a few trees or some bushes. You're gonna like very quickly get to the other side of this and transition to another area. And you're like, oh yeah, I guess it was. But you know, again, in 2004 when this came out, like that, like the biggest games I'd ever played up to that point and kind of were around were like GTA or whatever. So it's like, I know it wasn't the scale of that, but I thought like, oh, this is like the second biggest thing I've ever played because look how big this forest is. And it was fun almost kind of having that like bucket of water dumped on me of like, oh yeah, these were like small little areas you can get through this game. And also like the length of it was kind of my biggest sort of like shell shock of like when I realized how far I'd gotten in such little time. And you know, I wasn't skipping cutscenes or anything like that. And I was like, oh man, I've only put in like 5 hours and I'm like, well, like halfway through this game. And I was like, I didn't realize that. I guess in my mind the Cobra fights were a lot more spaced out than they are. And maybe because I think like it just took me longer to do things back then, where it's like now I'm a you know more experienced gamer and I know how to just handle things better. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get through this sneaking area pretty quick. I'm still getting caught every 2 seconds, but like I'm just tranking everyone in the head and moving on.
This is a weird philosophical question for you,
Okay.
and maybe for the room. Do you find that as you've gotten older, do you focus on objectives and completion more often? Because I was legitimately thinking about this the other day, that I think maybe not all the time when I was younger, but certainly for a decent degree of it, I saw games more as like play, as experience, as like creating things. I think, Charles, your example that you've given before of the games you would create within the Lego games are a great example of this, of inventing ways of play within an established means of play. And I have noticed that as I've gotten older, I have a very like, well, I need to get this done. I need to complete this. I need to move on to the next thing, because accomplishment is the goal, and objectives are the ultimate meter of my success. And do you find that has changed at all? Like maybe when you played way in the past, you just did more stuff in the world that was not tied to just moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. I mean, that mindset has definitely like that has become a thing, especially with this job where it is a lot of like, I need to get through this so I can move on to the next thing that I have to play for coverage. So but I also try to make a point to like savor it and not just make it a like, I just need to get through this. I need to like fast forward through all these dialogues. I need to get to the thing. Like, I don't do that. But with this game, I think because I played it before, and even though my memory was fuzzy, I still remembered like a lot of the gameplay stuff. So there were things where like, oh, I got through this area faster because I know there's nothing here, or I know a lot of the tricks or remember a lot of the tricks. So I can kind of just do them at will now, instead of kind of like, when it's your first time, you're still poking around the edge, just saying like, what can I do? There was less of that, and it was more just remembering like, oh yeah, I think when I get to this spot, I can do this, or if I go into menu and spin around, I can make Snake throw up, and it doesn't take me like hours to discover that. I just know how to do it. So like a bit of column A, a bit of column B for this, but I think some of that is a consequence of replaying this rather than being my first time. Like, I don't know, Charles might be a better person to ask that to, of like someone going to the first time. Did you feel like, and I know you were on the deadline for like the deepest dives, so you kind of did have a bit of a like, I need to get through this within a time frame, but
it was like I do think that was a thing that is so always impresses me about the Metal Gear games, which I've mentioned a few times on this show specifically, but it's been a while that I've played them very recently. I played 1 and 2 in the like HD collection, and then this was the first time I played 3 last September, whenever that was.
Yeah.
But I am consistently impressed by the amount of like tools they give you, but they feel like toys, just in a way that it's like there's mouse traps in the game and you can put it on the ground and someone will step on a mouse trap. It's not optimal. I never had a reason to use a mouse trap really, but there's so many things that are like mouse trap caliber items you can just pick up and use in the game that I can definitely see someone being like, oh, I want to use all these items, or I just want to use a lot of stuff and have a lot of fun. Or you can just like use the trank gun and go through the game.
I did make a point to do things I didn't do the first time around, of like not just relying on a trank gun, which is like to me that is just the main weapon for Snake. Like it is what the PP7 is, the James Bond is the trank gun to Snake in my eyes. So like, but even in the original, like I would kill people if it came down to it, but this one I actually did a non-lethal run, with the exception of the bosses. But when I got to the Sorrow fight, no one was there except for the bosses, so it was like incredibly easy to get through. Whereas I remember the first time, it was a lot more of a like, oh, this is a bit rough. There's some like, it wasn't like a complete massacre, but there was enough. Like, I killed enough people to make it like more of an exercise to get through. So it was fun. Like, even the final, like, I'll avoid spoilers, but like the last sort of like big chase sequence, I still use the trank for that. Whereas like I think funny. That is when the game gives you permission to be like, you can just go crazy now. But even then,
the game's like, hey, it's cool. You can do this now.
But I played that in the whole chase with just the trank gun, which was very dumb but very funny, because then guys are falling asleep on the motorcycle and then crashing and exploding and dying anyway. So it's like, but in my mind I was like, does that count as a tally against me when I get the final thing? Are they gonna say I killed them, even though I technically didn't kill them? I don't know if that would hold up in court, of like, well, really, I just put them to sleep. What happens after they go to sleep? Is that on me?
Batman logic over here. Like, so I just punched them really hard in the head over and over again.
Yeah.
They died 3 days later in the hospital, but I didn't kill them then.
Yeah. I don't have to. What was the line in Batman Begins? Like, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm not going to save you either.
Yeah. You got it.
They're like, I think that's still murder.
But I think it's manslaughter. We don't need to get into it.
We're putting Bruce Wayne on trial.
I was gonna say the Sorrow fight is a good example of that game where like. My issue with it now, and it's like a fun thing on paper, but when you're actually playing, it's always annoying. Where it's like, a lot of times, sometimes there is a very specific way you're supposed to do stuff, and just the act of figuring that out is like really annoying. If you think of it in the moment, or you already know what it is, it's like a cool thing. But that was one of the things as I was playing the game, being frustrated and having a hard time figuring out what the puzzle was. In a game that seems it's so cinematic and so linear that I often Snake has such a strong personality in a way that a lot of video game protagonists don't, that a lot of times I'm like, I feel like I'm failing Snake's legacy here by not knowing what to do. Whereas, like, if Mario has a hard time jumping up a thing, it's like, I don't know, that's Mario. He doesn't have much of a personality.
I have that same reaction when I play Devil May Cry games badly, where it's like, Dante's cooler than this. I'm making him not cool if I don't get that, like, if I get like a D.
Yeah. Master Chief would never die. And I'm here letting him down in Halo Legendary difficulty. Yeah, that's what it feels like. But I was gonna say also to Eric's thing earlier of like, games within games. I think of that as like games as toys, where it's there's no like objective. This is just like buy things and this is what they do and they interact. And I would have liked to play Metal Gear Solid 3 younger, with no deadline, with a bunch of like 14-year-olds, because I feel like you go to one friend's house and they'd be like, oh, I've got 100 hours. And I had one friend who had 100 hours in The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and did not leave Orden Village. He like couldn't figure out how to get out into like Hyrule Field, into like the main part of the game. He just had so much fun as like a 12-year-old, just running around and jumping off stuff and fishing really badly.
The simple pleasures.
Yeah, that was enough for him. Going out, like, chasing sheep, and I don't even know how often you do it. It's crazy. It was, like, me showing him, I was like, there's a lot of stuff in this game, and he just had no concept of it.
And he like, freaks out. He's like, I need to go back. I can't. I'm not ready for this.
It's like the game equivalent of that Tiny Toons Summer Vacation episode where they take this big road trip to this amusement park and all Hampton's family wants to do is ride the monorail, and then they leave and you're like, what about this other stuff? And I'm just like, no, this is all we need.
This is the ride. Yeah.
I will say my biggest takeaway after playing this is that it made me miss having a new Metal Gear to look forward to. Because I remember listening to The Deepest Dive, and I think it was the first episode where you and I think Haley were sort of like, kind of jokingly, but like semi-seriously asking, like, did you guys think this was like actually good writing back then? Like, you guys were kind of making fun of it a little bit. But I remember like also like nodding to myself, like, as a high schooler when this game came out, I 1000% was like, this is peak video game. Like, this is like, there's nothing like this, the intrigue, but like, this is so deep. We don't even know all the layers so far. Like, video games, there's no video game that touches Metal Gear with this, right?
It is a little bit of that. I will say, like, Snake Eater is maybe one of the better written Metal Gear Solids. Like 2 and 3, I think are kind of the peak for me of that series. And then 4 falls off a little bit. I never played 4. I like sat on a couch as my roommate played through 4. And then 5 was absolutely bonkers in every possible conceivable way. I love 5 as a game. 5 as a story is a completely different scenario. Yeah. But 3 is like, 3 is a really, really good Bond movie, or like a really good Mission Impossible. That's how I always saw it. It's got all the spy thriller intrigue and nations, and it does have the ending, which I think is really, really solid.
Yeah, that ending, I was wondering how it would react. Because I remember at the time, I was genuinely emotional watching that final ending for the first time. And then, like, even still feeling it now, even though I know it wasn't nearly, I didn't have nearly as a visceral reaction to it as I did the first time I played it, but it was still like, yeah, this is still effective. Like, this is still like a cool revelation, I guess, even though it's in hindsight, it's sort of telegraphed a lot more than I realized back then. But yeah, and then even the final like post-credit stinger, and again, going back to wanting to live in this era of Metal Gear. Like, now I know the answers to everything. I know I know where the series goes. But at the time when you didn't, I was like, oh my God, this is shocking. Oh, I can't wait for the next. Man, they did it again. Oh, I can't wait to know where all of this is going to go. And it did make me nostalgic. Like, man, I wish I could scrub my brain of the series and like re-experience it again and have that. Like, I get the same feeling when I think of Assassin's Creed 2, where like that for me was like the height of like intrigue of that series with everything of like the truth and like, where are we going to go? Oh, like the implications of everything with the atom. Like, oh, I can't wait for Assassin's Creed 3. Like, I wish I could go back to that era too before they, kind of fumbled the bag with that stuff, at least in my opinion. But yeah, there was like it does make me want to immediately replay 4. Like, I just want to dust off my PS4 and I still have my copy of, or PS3, I should say, and pop in my copy of 4 and play it again. And I really hope that you get to play it, Charles. I remember you saying you were interested in it. I hope you find a way to play it, because I think 4 is fascinating. Like, it's a good game. I think it's a great game.
It's wild.
Like the story stuff, because it is the Avengers Endgame of Metal Gear. Of like, we have been building like everything we've been building up to happens in this game, and we're gonna painstakingly tie up all the loose ends in this game.
It's also like gameplay wise, maybe the weirdest of the bunch. Just with, I remember very specific segments of just doing things that felt very not Metal Gear Solid. There's that whole spy sequence and all that. Also, there's a podcast in it that's hosted by Jeff Keighley, right? There's like all this really weird stuff embedded in the game. There's an in-universe podcast.
The weird commercials when you're first installing the game.
Yes,
Like live action. There's
that's kind of awesome though. I think
game.
like
it's a great game.
And it was him like smoking during the loading thing at the bottom, right? That was like infamous. Yeah,
it took forever to install that game. They were like, you can watch Snake smoke, I guess, while this bar slowly fills up.
I can forgive a lot of shortcomings if a game just exudes itself, its personality, its aura that much. Like if it's so obsessed with what it itself is doing, I can get on board with that.
Yeah. Also, I'm annoyed that some stuff of 4 was spoiled for you, Charles. I was like screaming when I was watching Ben and Dan kind of say some pretty wild things that happen in 4. Just kind of say, I was like, no, don't tell him that.
It's also a thing that like so much happens in Metal Gear, and like they like the people that really like Metal Gear really like marinate in it and like talk about it a lot, and I think get more of an understanding of it. I played Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 all within the last 2 or 3 years, and I would have a hard time even giving you a basic plot rundown of all of them. So it's a thing that like I think I remembered the thing that they spoiled. I couldn't imagine the context it could appear in, and by the time I do actually play the game, I will have completely forgot. So
all you need to know: tanks with legs.
Yes.
Solid Snake.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know what's the third pillar of Metal Gear series.
I don't even want to. I was going to say something else, but that would spoil more. Yeah.
Everyone's
just wild.
Yeah. Movies.
Who's that guy that farts all the time? Yeah.
Johnny. He poops his pants a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I know about him. He's in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah. He's in every Metal Gear Solid.
Is he? Oh, I thought he was introduced in this one. See, that's just the kind of.
I guess canonically he is introduced in this one.
This game is like, it's really good and maybe really bad. Like it's so specific. I love trying to wrap my mind around Metal Gear Solid 3, where I'm like, I have no idea how I feel about it. I think I just like playing it. Maybe that just means it's good. I don't know. But just the fact that we had all this conversation. They're like, Charles, did you do the thing and then go to sleep and then play this secret second game or whatever? I was like, what? And just like the nightmare sequence in Metal Gear Solid 3, it's like a great example of like, I don't know. Eric, you haven't listened to Deepest Dive, but one of our bits is that we're like, this game was designed to be talked about at recess in junior high. Like that's all. Everything in there is like, whoa. Did you know you can do this in Metal Gear Solid 3? What? If you spin Snake around in the menu, he throws up? No way.
Yeah.
And then
I can see that. I think when I think of that, I think of Pokemon, but that I also
true.
See.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a water, like I had that in high school. Like it was a water cooler game of like, did you know that you could do this? And you're like, what are you talking about? But yes, that is a long-winded way to say I finished Metal Gear Solid Delta. It's still a really good game. It's a great remake. It's pretty much going to be, I think, the de facto way to play the game just because of how faithful it is, but also it sands enough of the rough edges down to make it like the ideal version of that game. So highly recommend if you've ever wanted to get into the Metal Gear series, and also listen to the Min-Max Deepest Dive on that game because it's extremely entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Other games. Eric, you have been playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which I'm
for the second time. This is my second run through the game. Yeah. So for those who don't know, I co-host a podcast called Norm DFM with Kenneth Shepard. We play through games in kind of a game club style format. If you couldn't tell from the name of the show, it started as a BioWare thing. We started with Mass Effect and Dragon Age, and then we kind of went on to other series because BioWare kind of stopped making games for a while, and so we did stuff like Final Fantasy X and Last of Us and Cyberpunk. That was a fun season, and now we're back on BioWare for Dragon Age: The Veilguard this year. So I've been playing that for our episodes. And Dragon Age: The Veilguard, we don't need to spend too much time on it, but it's such an interesting game to play. I know this game only came out a couple years ago. Like it's not very old, and was certainly the topic of hot discussion, controversy, just everybody talking about it even before the game was out. But definitely, like, once it was out there in the world, it was the discourse du jour for quite a bit. And so having a little bit of space to kind of take a breath, come back, and see how I feel about the game has been really interesting, because it illustrates, obviously it's a game that's very emblematic of how it was made, if that makes sense. Like it was, you can tell, you know, when you're playing the game, that there are kind of bits and pieces that all seem reminiscent of games like Destiny and other service games, and there's a lot of reports and stuff out there from folks like Jason Schreier that have detailed the long and troubled development that went behind what became the Veilguard, which itself was Dragon Age Dreadwolf before it, and then just Dragon Age 4 ? Before that for years and years.
Dreadwolf's still a better name.
Dreadwolf is still a better name. I still really don't get the reasoning behind. I have heard the reasoning behind it. I've had it explained to me. I still think Dreadwolf is a better name. But it's a really interesting game to play in light of. I almost didn't bring it up for the podcast, and then we mentioned that, hey, also Anthem shut down the other day. It is fully turned off, servers down. You basically can't play Anthem right
if
now.
It wasn't already your coaster, it is now.
Yeah. In the way that's happening to a lot of online games and online services as they kind of launch and find an audience or don't, and even if they do, maybe the audience doesn't stay forever and then they eventually sunset. And we'll get into this deeper, but it felt like a good way to kind of establish a stepping stone into the second half of this podcast of even Veilguard has weird stuff tied into it with, I think it has some online stuff, although most of it had been extricated by the time it came out. But it illustrates what BioWare was always going throughout the years. You know, I think a lot of people look at Anthem and they say that was the example of Electronic Arts exerting influence on BioWare, right? Like, here's BioWare, the thing that, you know, for Mass Effect and Dragon Age, they're making an Iron Man live service shooter, basically. But you go back to Mass Effect 2 and they had the Cerberus network. You go back to Mass Effect 3, they had loot crates. Remember loot crates? Those were in Mass Effect 3.
That's crazy.
that was like the testing ground for them.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really interesting to go back through the lens of the Veilguard and just kind of see it as, right, you know, right now after Veilguard, BioWare had tons of layoffs, a lot of talent left, a lot of people from BioWare have been very vocal about that in the past, about the situation that led to that and the reasons why they have left the company. A lot of them have gone off to spin up new places that are now working on their own RPGs, their own games. I think the idea of entities outside BioWare making BioWare games has become a very popular thing. You have games like Greedfall and even Baldur's Gate 3, which is very much a Larian style game, but also takes a lot of influence from BioWare's take on RPGs. Just play DOS 2 and then play BG3 and you can see the difference. So yeah, I guess that's my winding way of saying that I don't know that I love Veilguard. In fact, a lot of times I dislike it.
I would say, do you like it more or less this second time around?
I kind of like it less. And I already was not really warm on it to begin with for a variety of reasons. I was already kind of in, you know, I didn't review it at the time because of other mess that happens. But I did play it, you know, play an early copy when it came out. And I think I came out of it feeling very middling on it. Like, that wasn't the worst thing I've ever played, but it certainly wasn't, you know, what I would have hoped for from a new Dragon Age. And now I'm playing it, and for every moment that I see this was the vision, this is the idea, they really had something. The stuff with I actually just finished playing the Emmerich section, if you were familiar with Veilguard, but there's a character who is the most Vincent Price dude you have ever seen in your life, who's all about like necromancy and the necropolis and raising the dead and very spooky, scary ghouls and campy horror, but also gets into some really good stuff about mourning and grief and what it means for someone to pass on from this mortal coil. gets into some really good stuff that's like really what I would consider classic BioWare. Even some of the choices that you make, there's an infamous choice at the beginning of the game where you choose one direction or the other, very BioWare thing, and the results of that, I did the opposite direction this time from what I originally did, and I was shocked by how much it changes the world and how much it really impacted me emotionally, even having seen, you know, some effects of this before.
Yeah.
There's some of the magic still there. There's so much of the magic from people who were trying to make the magic happen at BioWare in this game, but then here's a puzzle where you got to shoot red crystals to unlock a door, which is maybe one of my least favorite things in all third-person action games. I dislike the hit the switches to change the direction of the water. I dislike the hit the things in order to unlock the door. I think a lot of those weird environmental puzzles that kind of just have one solution and you just have to do it to move on to the next area always feel bad. I've never really enjoyed them. And I think with Dragon Age the Veilguard, there's so much of that just littered throughout the game that otherwise gets in the way of what feels like a BioWare game, what feels like a classic, maybe not so much a Dragon Age Origins, but maybe more a Mass Effect 2 style game, a Mass Effect 3 style game. And it's, you know, I realize I'm getting into the nitty gritty of what a BioWare game is, but I've played every BioWare game at this point probably at least twice. So that's what you sign up for.
Well, now that you say that, replaying the Veilguard with this sort of like, I don't know, new perspective, has it changed your anticipation or worry level for Mass Effect 5?
I mean, Mass Effect 5 for me is not a real game yet. Like that's a trailer right now. We've heard so little about it. There's always an N7 day thing that comes out and they say, we're working on it. It's going to be the Mass Effect experience you want. And like, I want the best for that team. I truly do. I want them to make the best Mass Effect game they can. I want them to make it happen. I also saw years of this happening for the Dragon Age team under EA as they went through basically a decade of development trying to make Veilguard happen. And it was a lot of the same where it was just kind of a statement where they said, we're making the best Dragon Age we can. We're working on it. Don't worry.
Here's a piece of concept art.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, headlines trickled out of like development strife, people leaving, layoffs and stuff like that.
Casey Hudson's in, he's out, he's in, he's out again.
Yeah. A lot of these names moving in and out. And so I really do. I want the best for the Mass Effect team. I also just, Mass Effect 5 doesn't feel like a game yet. It feels like a concept, a thing that could happen, but until we really see more than just, I think we've had 2 trailers and a piece of concept art at this point and a box art. That was kind of weird to reveal this early.
That poster had the ship that everyone was picking apart.
Yeah. There's been some pieces of concept art, and I think the box art with the character. Yeah. The transmission was weird. Yeah. That became the Krogan Civil War, where it's a bunch of, it says Krogan Civil War under it in that kind of like motivational poster fonts, and then it's the Krogans, but they're all shooting like towards the camera, towards something off screen. And it only made me think of the Nathan Fielder image of like, here's me and my friends. They're all laughing just off screen. Mm-hmm. And it's with no context, with no explanation of what they mean by Krogan Civil War or what that entails or anything. And I understand there's always ARGs and teasing with these games that happens. But I still think in my personal opinion, everybody who's watching this, I still think Mass Effect 5 is we haven't seen enough of it to even really feel like it's something that we're going to see anytime soon. So I just don't have expectations of it to show up anytime soon. I have the best hopes for the team, but they're under a system that I think has made it difficult for them to produce what they ultimately want to.
Yeah. And out of one that is probably wildly changing with the EA sort of buyout. Do you think that before we move on, N7 Day 2026, is this the year that you think we get a substantial update on that game?
I don't know, man. I don't play that game. I don't like. I have a running joke with Ken and with some other folks where we're just like, when do you think Mass Effect 5 is realistically going to show up? And I think we're still years away from it.
And not release, I mean like a real trailer, just something to really latch on to.
I could see like a 30-second teaser. Sure. Yeah. Roll out one of those. But I think anything close to, I mean, think about Dragon Age the Veilguard. We didn't see gameplay until maybe like less than a year out from the release of that game. That was a very quick turnaround. That was very, again, like emblematic of the situation behind the scenes of how that game was being made, of how it was coming together. And even that's the other thing. I play Veilguard and I see all those kind of gears trying to turn and lock in unison and make a game. And the fact that it comes together holistically and plays like a video game is in itself a miracle. Like that's, I see so many ways in which this project could have easily fallen apart under the weight of itself. And in fact, many of the things they managed to do despite a decade of development and so much investment and changes within the system is actually kind of like really, really humbling. I think I was remarking that there's so many options for having dialogues, fully voiced dialogues that involve your background, like what race you've chosen, what background your rook comes from, whether you were working with the Shadow Dragons or the Lords of Fortune or something like that. And those are all voiced and those are all different, which when you start to think about how many different voices there are for rook and other characters that are responding to it, and then how many different backgrounds there are, is like they really did a lot of work to make this happen, to give you that feeling of role playing that does feel very central to what BioWare does. And that's the thing, is why I keep saying I have belief and hope in the people at BioWare that are still there. It's just they're not in the best situation to make this happen.
Yeah. Well, moving on from a game that feels like it took 20 years to come out to a game that has already been out for the better part of 2 decades. Charles, you have been playing the latest addition to the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack GameCube library, which is Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. A game that was, even though they announced that this would be one of the games in sort of the initial batch when they announced this the GameCube library last year, it was still, I don't know, it still felt like something you're like, I'll believe it when I see it. Because this is like one of the more beloved Fire Emblem entries, and also one of the more kind of like sought after in terms of like, it always commanded like really high prices for a physical copy of it. And I know that because I used to have a physical copy that I sold many years ago for a pretty penny. And I no longer regret that decision because now I can just fire this up and play it. But Charles, you're coming to this for the first time. How have you been enjoying it?
Yeah, I've always wanted to play this game, mainly because people say it's good and it's like so inaccessible. I've seen it at stores once or twice, and it's like always the most expensive game on the shelf. I just pulled up eBay, and just the price for the game, we got $220, $208, $134.
Yeah,
it's dropping.
I sold mine for I think like $350, $400, something like that.
Oh yeah. And this is again the first thing that popped up on eBay. It's really expensive, so I've always wanted to check it out, but I never have. I'm a later comer to Fire Emblem, just in that my first game was Awakening on the 3DS, which is a game I really, really like. And it's just interesting to go back and play. It's really interesting. Something I've always appreciated is playing a game in a series and then playing a game much older in a series and kind of understanding like what the through line of that series is versus what I assume the through lines of a series are. Fire Emblem Awakening, for example, really built around the like support conversations of like your units fight near each other and then they like have bonds and they grow together. Not a thing in Path of Radiance. I don't know how many games, if any, it was in pre-Awakening.
There are support systems. They're just not as front facing as they become in later games. But as far back as I think Fire Emblem Blazing Blade, which was Fire Emblem, just Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance here, but that's the 7th overall game. There was definitely like I forget what the system was that you used, but there were like quote unquote S tier supports and things like that in there. So there should be support conversations in Path of Radiance, if I remember correctly.
Gotcha. Well, I haven't reached them yet, but it's certainly not as prominent as the other ones.
Well,
but
in Awakening, you can pair units up, right? Like that's when they started introducing
share
that
a
mechanic.
Square.
Yeah, and it gets a lot. That's what I mean by like they make it a lot easier for you to start to do that thing where you're putting units together and having them bond on the battlefield. Whereas Path of Radiance, there's a lot of weird mechanics about adjacency and characters getting different stat upgrades or changing natures depending on who they're standing next to. That I think is kind of I don't see as often in newer Fire Emblems, and I wish there was some of that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm finally checking it out, and I'm at like chapter 7, so I'm not very far in. I'm like a few hours in. But I like it, and I like the story. That's one of the things people really like about this game particularly, is I like the story a lot. Also, Ike is the main character of this game. I know him, as many people do, from Smash Bros. And it's really funny to just see a character's Smash Bros moveset and try to intuit their personality off of that. I think I thought Ike was like a jock. Like I thought he was like a big meaty, like, because he's just like the biggest, heaviest of the Fire Emblem characters. So
he's
I
such a
like,
powerhouse.
Yeah, I assume he's like, hey, I'm Ike.
He's a slab of meat for
battle.
sure. Yeah.
I love eating meat. That's kind of like what I assumed Ike was like, knowing only his Super Smash Bros thing. Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, oh, Jim
and he's very young in the game, and he's just starting out. You're playing as, he's the son of the head of a mercenary company, and this is right when these countries break out in war, and they're trying to like decide where to ally themselves at this part in the game. Yeah, I really like it. It's really nice on the Switch. Like Fire Emblem to me is a really good like when there's like cutscenes and stuff, obviously I want to have it up on the TV, but to me it's always been a very good, like, this is the thing in my hands while I have a show up on the TV that I'm like half paying attention to, or like a stream on in the background, where I just like doing the strategy. It feels like very left brain is focused on this type of game, and then my right brain is going on with whatever else is happening. Yeah, I think for me too, like those games just, and not just the series, but just turn-based strategy is just, it's made for handhelds for me.
I'd agree with that. I play them a lot on PC too, but that depends on the game. You know, like XCOM I think of as a PC series versus Fire Emblem, definitely for me, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 3DS, things like that. Path of Radiance was a really interesting game when it came out, because it was the first game to try and ride the kind of surging wave of success of Fire Emblem in the West, because just trip down memory lane, like Fire Emblem was not really a series here until Super Smash Bros. Melee brought over Roy and Marth, and then people were like, what's going on there? Nintendo brought over the Game Boy Advance games.
I remember being like, who are these guys? I've never heard of them when I played Melee for the first time.
Which is weird, because then they brought over the Game Boy Advance games that didn't have Roy in them. They had Ellawood in 7, and then the Sacred Stones were a completely different story.
We all love Ellawood. We can't stop talking about Ellawood.
Who doesn't love it? Hector and Lynn are the real stars of 7, let me tell you. But I think Path of Radiance was, for a lot of people, the game that got them to play it. It was also on the GameCube, and the GameCube was, I think we have a lot of rosy nostalgia for the GameCube now, but the GameCube at the time was like not the most popular system.
And so not at all.
This big tactical RPG.
Excuse me. It had a handle on it. You could carry it around.
It was at the McDonald's. It was enclosed in
I
the
did have a
McDonald's.
That had the GameCube. Oh my god, I did have one.
It's like the most protected you've ever seen something. It's in like a metal case with plastic all around it, and the controller is like locked onto the case. Yeah,
I think I played Wind Waker at a McDonald's once.
Yeah, I played Pikmin at mine. They had Pikmin on theirs. But yeah, like the GameCube was, you know, kind of in need of something like this, like a big meaty RPG that you could dig into. And Fire Emblem tried to ride that wave while also doing some different things with its story. The mercenary story is very different from a lot of the kind of royalty focused stories previously, although it does eventually get there anyways because it's Fire Emblem. And I think it's a really, really fascinating game for charting the history of the series and seeing, because it went to GameCube and then to Wii after that, if I remember right, was Radiant Dawn, and then right back to handhelds, and that was kind of where it lived until ultimately the Switch came around and was the Nintendo thing moving forward, and Fire Emblem could finally be on a console again was a really big deal.
And also still on the handheld at the same time.
Yeah, the beauty of the Switch.
Funny how they did that.
Yeah,
it's also really good timing because we have a new Fire Emblem coming out this year, and I would hope that it takes some lessons from classic Fire Emblem. As much as I love Three Houses, I think a lot of people are maybe exhausted by the idea of playing another Three Houses sized Fire Emblem.
Well, so I was really interested of. Sorry, you go ahead, Marcus.
Well, I was gonna say, didn't Engage kind of steer away from at least the kind of the social stuff of Three Houses, and it's a little bit more of a traditional.
It's a lot. Engage is a lot more combat focused.
Yeah, it's more battle.
Three Houses at the very least.
Yeah.
It is, but it has a lot of base support stuff. I think you get a lot of characters in Engage, and then you also have the ring characters who are kind of your Fire Emblem All-Stars that are coming in from all the different eras, and you have all the support stuff with all of them, as well as all the training missions and stuff back at the base. And it's interesting to go back to something. I was recently playing Fire Emblem 7, Fire Emblem 8 on Game Boy Advance again, and I was like, there was kind of a streamlined aspect to those games that even up through Fire Emblem Fates Conquest and things like that kind of falls away as you get into the Three Houses era, and it becomes here are the raising sim aspects, here's the stats that you're pumping up every week, and the calendar management that you're doing. That was really, really good. I love Three Houses, but the idea of doing that again definitely is that's a lot to undertake.
I found it interesting because I really like the starter path of Radiance. I've also for me, a Fire Emblem game, it's usually just it's not whether or not I'll like it, it's just how long it'll hold me for. I think the only games I've beaten are Awakening and Three Houses, but I've played 4 or 5 others of them for 10, 15 hours or whatever before getting bored. But I was where does Path of Radiance stack up in people's rankings? And I always look up whenever I start getting into a series how people rank all the entries in the series. A lot of times I'm more familiar with how people rank things than I actually am with I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie, but I'm always looking up how people are ranking those things because I'm so curious of how are they different? Are they different? Is there actually...
there's a correct answer to what the best Fast movie is.
Is it Fast?
Other answers.
Is it Fast 5?
It's Fast 5. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the best one.
I ain't seen any of those movies, and I've looked this up enough times that I'm I think everyone really likes Fast 5.
Yeah.
Fast 5 is really good. Just if I had to show someone one Fast and the Furious movie, it's that one.
Yeah, I think there's also a consensus on the worst Fast movie.
Is it I don't know, 9 or something like that?
I think 2.
After they kind of...
I was going to guess 2.
Yeah,
I think 2
kind of looked at as the worst one.
Well, 2, I haven't seen it since it came out, but I could see having some nostalgic fun with 2. Whereas I think once they got into kind of 7 and 8 and it just kept going, it was okay, now we're really trying to draw water from the rock here. Literally in some cases. Wow. We're trying to get water from the rock here.
Also, this makes me want a Fire Emblem Fast crossover. I want the Fast characters in a Fire Emblem style game. I want to raise their bonds.
Give Dominic Toretto a battle axe.
Yeah. I want a grid.
What I was going to say, I was curious of how people rated Path of Radiance, and it's very variable. They change a lot. Also, I don't know the numbers of the games. It's not in the titles all the time. So a lot of people put the numbers of the game. I don't know which Fire Emblem 14 is, but that's fine. But I was surprised that, to my knowledge, Three Houses, at the very least, was very popular and sold very well. And I like it a lot. I know a lot of people liked it a lot. And it's always interesting to me when you go into, when you don't look at Fire Emblem from the outside and it's what does the Fire Emblem subreddit think? Most people don't have Three Houses very high because it's not the traditional style of game for them. They don't think of when they think of Fire Emblem, they don't think of Three Houses.
Like that's the mainstream normies Fire Emblem, because that's when everybody get them.
That's a whole thing. Welcome to the party, pal. This is
well, this was also my I was looking up the Tomb Raider games, because I've only played the like reboot trilogy. I haven't played any of the older ones, but there's a lot of older ones, and I was looking it up, and for whatever reason I'm like, well, the new ones are really good, so everyone have those up really high, and a lot of people have them like at the bottom. They're like, I hate these reboots, I hate whatever, and I'm just like,
as a Tomb Raider fan, I think they're insane, because those old games don't hold up gameplay wise as much as I have fondness for them.
So as somebody that does a lot of podcasting and writing and covering beats that stretch back a fair number of years, like fighting games and RPGs, there are always the diehards who have a very firm, like, this is when the genre peaked and we have lost our way. I think they can sometimes have a point, but also get a little too much lost in their own sauce for that.
And it's also
I think those incomprehensible water puzzles and those old games.
There are people. Here's a fun fact. There are people like when Final Fantasy 16 came out, and people were like, "Is this Final Fantasy?" There were people when Final Fantasy 7 came out that were like, "This isn't Final Fantasy. What
those people
is
still
this?"
exist.
Yeah. There are still people who believe that everything post SNES is not like Final Fantasy proper and all that. It's oh boy, it's a deep rabbit hole. When it comes to Fire Emblem, for my personal taste, I do think Path of Radiance is at least like a top 5, top 6 Fire Emblem. I would put it in that ballpark. I would have to think harder about my rankings, but I do know that like Awakening, Sacred Stones, Three Houses, Path of Radiance, and then I don't know, maybe throw in like Shadows of Valencia or something like that. Or if you want to get like really esoteric, get like a Thrashia 776 in there.
Eric, I was hoping you would say, because I've only beaten one Fire Emblem and no one ever talks about it, and there was
which
a
one
Fire Emblem Fates on the 3DS.
Which one?
I do. Yeah, which version of Fates?
There's the 3.
the red one, the pink one.
Birthright.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember the subtitles, but I was
this is part of the weirdness with Fire Emblem, especially Fates, is and why I personally kind of bounce off Fates, even though I did enjoy it when I played it. It's so much to get through, and the 3-pronged nature that they tried just didn't really make sense for what they did, because there's like Birthright, which is they did the Pokemon thing where it's like, do you side with this side or this side? Yeah. But then they also it's
more distinct than Pokemon at the very least.
Well, so it's Birthright is one side, Conquest is the other, and I think one of them is your birth family, one of them is your adoptive family. I always mix up which one is which, because it then gets really weird, because you do then have social links with that, and it gets very Game of Thronesy, and then you have Revelations is
that was it.
Like the golden route. Path, the true route, and it's like, that's okay, why do that? I know it's like it's a visual novel thing, it's an adventure game thing to do that sort of, here's the golden path, here's the true route. Even games like Triangle Strategy recently have done that, but it's a weird way to lay out your game and then do it like a Pokemon, where you have actual different carts, and then you have to like, well, it was different downloads, and then you had to get the special edition cart to have all 3 of them on there.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing. That's why Fates falls off for me.
Okay,
I do like Conquest quite a bit.
Okay, I was never clear how cool or lame that made me with the Fire Emblem community to be like, I beat Fates, and that's the only one I finished.
In the rankings, a lot of people had Conquest relatively high, and Birthright wasn't as high, and no one talked about Revelations.
So I picked the lame one, I guess.
I think it's the easier one. I think it's the less interesting combat-wise.
Yes.
I don't even know
Conquest is the one that is the most interesting combat-wise, for sure.
Yeah, I don't even know what made my decision to choose one or the other, honestly.
I also, at the time, I also picked that one for what it's worth. It's like you were raised by an evil family, but you were born to a good family. I'm simplifying things a little bit. Conquest is you're like, I'm going to stick with the evil family, and Birthright is like, I'm going to go with my good.
Well, one family wears all like black and purple and gold, basically, and the other one is kind of wearing this like red and white, very like samurai inspired armor and stuff like that. And then the other one is the route where you just ignore all of that and do something else and golden path it.
Yeah. I did want to round it out. I did want to say that part of my moral of the story here with like bringing up all these like different comparisons of like within the Fire Emblem community, people don't like this popular one, or that's just being a regular thing. A thing that as like a games writer I try to remember is like trying really hard to not be as influenced by outside perspectives or like what is the legacy of this thing, and not necessarily think of like, is this a good blank game, and more just like, is it a good game? Do I like it? Does it connect with me? Because it's very easy to get bought. Like again, another example, a classic one is people in the Zelda community don't like Breath of the Wild, and it's like that's like one of the best games of all time, and it doesn't do a lot of things old Zelda games did, but it's still a very good game, and we could evaluate it based on like how similar is it. In the way a lot of people evaluate games is like, well, how similar is this to Ocarina of Time? Because if it's not similar, then it's not a very good game, because that's the perfect game.
When will a game finally make me young again so I can experience wonder and whimsy? That's what I've always been asking. This game didn't
come out in 1998, so I'm not really a fan of it.
This game came out when I was a smaller person who understood less of the world and had fewer troubles on their mind. And really, if a game can't do that, then what are we doing?
Exactly. All this is to say, I do like Path of Radiance. I'm going to keep playing it. I will see if it becomes the third Fire Emblem game I reach the end of. But even if it's not, I always like those 15 hours I get to play of a Fire Emblem game. I have no regrets.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, we're going to spin off of that discussion because we're going to take a quick break and then come back, and we're going to discuss the state of subscription services, including Nintendo Switch Online. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Game Informer Show. We are now going to talk about a little bit of a pivot. I wanted to bring this topic up because it's something I've been thinking about, kind of in like it's the new year. I'm kind of wanting to, trim my finances a little bit, and it's like, do I really need to be paying for all these things that I'm paying for? Because I'm paying for a lot of things, and as always, I'd like to be paying for less. So we're just gonna talk about like the state of specifically video game subscriptions, and this is stuff like the big three, like Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, their big subscriptions, but then also like smaller things we might be paying for. And I'm also just curious of like the kinds of things Marcus or Eric are like, you know what, this is worth me paying, some kind of like niche thing. It's like, this is worth me subscribing for or not subscribing for, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, first off, Game Pass. Are you guys subscribed to Xbox Game Pass?
Nope.
I am, however, at least with my current subscription, disclaimer, it was provided by Microsoft for media press reasons, so that we have access to it in case we want to, day one releases, whatever, play for like work stuff. But before that, I had been paying for it pretty much nonstop since its inception. Actually, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever let it lapse ever since they started doing it.
I did have it lapsed for a hot minute, and then I also this is like right when Game Informer started back up, so Eric wasn't here, but we all got Game Pass, like 1 year of Game Pass code. So sorry, Eric, for being excluded from that.
I'm good. I'm going to say something bold here. I did have Game Pass for, I think, up until about this year, maybe around January, February. I cut it, and that was a cost saving thing, but also it made me realize how little I actually used it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, number one, like I already owned most of the games that were on the service that I cared about in the first place. Like I bought the Halo Master Chief Collection when it came out. I bought Halo Infinite when it came out. Like I wasn't really using those avenues to play those games in the first place. But then also it is, quote unquote, best value in gaming and all that kind of stuff. But it kind of made me realize that paying a lot of money for a lot of games that I might play one day is not always the best thing, and made me kind of personally reconfigure the way I think about having access to games versus owning games and playing said games. So Yeah, that Game Pass was the start of that for me, which will probably dovetail into what we're going to be talking about for all this segment.
Yeah, I have definitely had it lapse at times, and then I've gotten it back. I've tried to, specifically when I'm paying for Game Pass, because it does cost so much money now, it's just a thing to me of like, I'll just be default unsubscribed. And then if there's a pattern of like 2 or 3 games on Game Pass coming out at once, or it's like one is coming out and I'm like, oh, I wanted to play these other ones, that's when I'll treat it as like a purchase basically, and be like, I'll buy a month of Game Pass to play the games that I want to play. There's no reason in being subscribed if there's going to be like months at a time that I'm not spending any money. But also, it's so expensive now. The prices I got them pulled up here. So Game Pass Essential. Also, they keep changing the names, which is confusing. There used to be Game Pass Core, and then they changed it, and then there's Premium, and then they added Ultimate, or maybe...
Wait, Microsoft naming things in a fashion? I've never done that with the Xbox.
You're not excited to boot up Copilot Office?
Yeah, impossible. So the Essential tier is $10 a month, and it gets you 50 plus games, it says. I don't know how many games that is. On 51. Xbox, PC, and supported.
It's more than 50.
It's probably 51. You can also stream games, including some games that you own. So you can't stream all the games you own, but you can stream, I think, the Game Pass games. You can play online. There's some rewards thing, and then you get benefits for, it says, games like League of Legends and Call of Duty Warzone. That's like a pretty standard thing. They started adding in little goodies to be like, justify the price increase in my mind, but it's also kind of like a marketing thing to me of like, it's nice if you're already playing, Warzone and you're subscribed to Game Pass, but to me it's more of a like a way for both of those audiences to advertise to the other.
That's the weird part for me, was it was kind of a big deal when Riot made the deal with Xbox to say, so if you have Game Pass, you have access to every League of Legends champion, you have access to, I think, all the Valorant agents and things like that. But the power users who were going to take advantage of that in the first place probably already had access to the majority of characters that they wanted to play as in the first place. Funny enough, it made it kind of annoying because I would go play a mode called ARAM, all random, all middle, in League of Legends, and it would random me into a character that I didn't like, or I didn't previously own and had never played before. And I'd be like, I don't want to play this character. I want to play Ashe. I want to play Nidalee. I want to play somebody who's good in ARAM.
Yeah.
And introduced a new dynamic there. But yeah, it's access to a lot of things, but then I always ended up questioning, like, I was paying a lot of money, and that was even before the price increase, for access to games that I wasn't always playing. And they also adjusted the way that new games were going onto it too, so you kind of lost that benefit.
Yeah, so to that note, then there's the premium tier, which is $15 a month, so $5 more a month. This is 200 games on these devices. And then this one gets you new Xbox games within 12 months of launch. So they had like a day one on Game Pass thing, and then they split it into tiers, and now they're kind of like breaking down when you get it. The main one that they want you to get, it used to just be what Game Pass was, is now the Ultimate tier. It has the full library, which says is 500 plus games. If there's a first party Xbox game, and just, all of that, the Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, whatever entails, it decides to do that. That's all on day one on Ultimate. It also includes Fortnite Crew, EA Play, and Ubisoft Plus Classics. You can stream games, and it says it has the shortest wait times. Notice how the lowest tier, it didn't mention the wait times, but there are theoretically wait times if you're trying to stream stuff. And then all the other stuff that they mentioned. But that's $30 a month. Which, when they increased that price, I remember being like, that's crazy. And it's still like, every time I see it, I'm like, that's so much money.
I should make it clear, too, that when they increased the price, we had already gotten our like press Game Pass subscriptions. And I remember thanking the Sun God for that, because that would have been when I canceled my Game Pass. That would have been I can't. No, I'm not doing that.
I think that's more money than I've paid for any other subscription monthly service that was not like a phone bill or something.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no like none of the TV streaming services cost anywhere near that
Well,
much. I mean, when you bundle them together, I think.
Okay, if you get the big bundle, if you get the really big bundles that have Disney Plus, ESPN, stuff like that.
That's the exact bundle that I currently pay for each month because WWE moved the ESPN. I was like, well, I have to have that now to watch the pay-per-views, damn it. They decided to move from the super cheap Peacock to this.
Remember when it was like everything was on cable packages and everybody complained about cable packages, and then we got streaming and everyone was like, oh, we love streaming, this is great, this is the future, and then streaming killed the cable package and then became it, and now we're all standing there on Mustafar yelling down at Netflix, you were the chosen one.
I don't even think it's Netflix's fault. This is a tangent, but it's just the problem is that everyone started making a streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it made more sense when there were like a handful of them, but now everyone has one. So then inevitably they're going to get bought out by someone else and then get bundled, or they're going to start talking to each other, say, hey, let's help each other out. Let's bundle each other. We could do that.
I also don't think it's not Netflix's fault. Like, I think they should. I think they have some of the blame in there, but
I mean, by existing, it's their fault.
Yeah.
It's one of the larger scapegoats in the herd. Let's put it that way. If there's a herd of goats, of scapegoats that we can point at, it's one of the larger goats in that herd.
I guess we can blame them for Game Pass too, because Game Pass was built as like, this is
the Netflix of games,
the Netflix of video games.
Anyway, so that's like, I think when people talk about a game subscription, this is the one that's in the news the most, like that we would cover the most. It was kind of the quintessential, like, just the concept of this was so, I think, ridiculous when it was announced. That people like,
remember the E3 when it was announced and everyone was like buying up Game Pass subscriptions when they had that weird loophole where like you can get like, you can stack multiple years for like $1 or $5.
Yeah.
It was. I forgot which E3 it was, but I remember being at that E3 and all my media friends being like, I'm buying so much Game Pass subscriptions right now because this is like an incredible value.
Yeah, I remember this is, and I think to our point, so we're talking about like playing it or not playing it with Game Pass. I think the ideal situation for Game Pass, if you want to actually get the most value out of it, is for someone that is new to video games, getting an Xbox Series S and like the premium Game Pass subscription, which is like the middle tier, and Xbox Series S is a way to be like, I've not played video games before. This is going to be more games than I could possibly want on a relatively cheap console, and I don't have to commit to anything right away. And it's a good way to like test out what you're interested in, and is a relatively, and now it's all obviously getting more and more expensive, relatively low barrier to entry to try a lot of stuff out. Once you are like at our spot, or you're just someone that's played games for a while, or you're someone that has been subscribed to Game Pass for a while, it does get to a point where it's like, the back library isn't as important as the new stuff that's coming out. And when it's $30 a month, it's not that crazy to be like, I'll just wait and buy the three, $70 games a year that I actually want to play the day that they come out. And it'll end up being, less than or similar to whatever the cost of what Game Pass was. It's not necessarily something that it's like a must have, like I think it used to be.
Or like, it's weird. It's Game Pass is almost kind of benefiting from the rising prices of games now, because now games are starting to become or like new releases are hitting $80. So it's making by default Game Pass look even more like a value, even if it did, or at least the highest tier got bumped up to $30. That's still $50 less than like what is going forward to be the standard price for a first party Xbox game. Because last year was when they started saying, hey, going forward, all of our big games are going to be $80. That's just, it's just what we're doing now. So it's like, yeah, I can still buy, if I want to play Gears of War E-Day, it is still much cheaper to be like, I'm just going to pay $30 for a month of Game Pass than to buy this outright, assuming that you don't care about actually owning the game, which at least increasingly as the generations get younger, that seems to be less and less of a concern for most players of like, I don't really care about owning my games. Or at least they think they don't care. Maybe they think, because some people think that they own it, but then they're like, you actually don't. But
I'm gonna push lightly back on this, because there has been a surge. And it's worth looking this up. A lot of like the youngest generation right now. Like I don't know what we're on now. If it's Gen Alpha,
I think we're on,
but even some of the Zoomers.
Yeah, what we're talking about. Like
even in Zoomer culture and things like that, there has been a rising sentiment of owning media where physical MP3 players have come back. Physical cameras that are separate from your phone camera are big right now. Film cameras are big again.
And analog.
They're genuinely because of the connectedness, and I do think that then dovetails into streaming, where one thing that I think across the board we're going to talk about as we get into other subscription services is that a lot of them promise the idea of an expansive catalog, but that catalog doesn't go as far back or as deep as you would think or hope it would, especially from platform holders that would theoretically have better access and availability to this stuff. Like there's a lot of games that for a while I actually think Microsoft was being really good about this and putting a lot of games out there that were like, hey, here's an updated version that's going to run better on Xbox Series X and it's going to be really awesome. I mean, you know, our friend Wesley will tell you all about how Final Fantasy 13 runs on the Xbox Series X till the cows come home, but there's been a lesser surge of that over the years, and it's really changed a lot of my feelings on this stuff, because initially I was like, oh, subscription services can provide some funding and some like carrot reasons for the publishers to want to put their back catalog out there, to want to support this stuff. And instead that hasn't really been happening as often. It's slowed down a lot, and that's been a bummer to see.
I wonder, because we're in a unique position of, you know, working in games media, which necessitates having to spend most of our time focusing on like the latest and greatest releases. Like we don't really have the luxury to dive into our backlogs as often as maybe we would like. Do you guys think if you weren't doing this job and you weren't beholden to having to keep up with everything new, would Game Pass be more enticing? Because for me, I rarely find myself playing it, mainly because I'm so like, well, I always have something new I have to be playing or want to be playing, that it's very rare for me to just be like, oh, what's in the Game Pass library? Oh, I haven't played this. I'm going to install this and play this, just because it's harder for me to find the time. But if I did not have that, I feel like I would be more likely to be like, because there is things in that library where it's like, yeah, I would love to sit down and play this. It's been on my like list, you know, for a while, and it's just here. But man, where would I find the time, you know, that kind of thing. And I wonder how much this job sort of affects at least sort of like the back catalog of Game Pass, how often you're diving into it.
So I don't remember what year it was, because when Game Pass was like announced, I fully didn't understand. I think I saw enough headlines because I was like, what, in high school? I don't know what year it came out, but I was certainly not working in games media. And it was a thing I wasn't really paying attention to. And remember one day being like, okay, what actually is this? Oh, this is crazy. I can just have a bunch of games if I pay $1. And then I did initially do that. Like I played a bunch of, specifically that's how I played Dead Cells for the first time. It was specifically a lot of like indie games that I wouldn't have gone out and spent the full price on without knowing what they were, and was able to like try them out. I think nowadays it's less appealing, probably because I do have that games media where I'm playing the newest thing a lot of the time, or I know about the latest thing. And so when, you know, like Resident Evil Village just came to Game Pass, and or is coming soon. I can't remember exactly what date it comes out to Game Pass, but that was one I just played because I was doing on the backlog over the winter break. I was just going through these Resident Evil games for whatever reason. Perfect example of a thing that like a lot of Game Informer staff played when it came out, because it was like one of the big games at the time, that someone might be like, oh, I missed this at the time. So yeah, I don't know if it's, we'll get into some of the other services in a second. I don't know if I would be on Game Pass specifically. I think there's other services that are more specific to the types of games that I would play and the way that I play them. But I do think it is more appealing if you're not obsessed with the next biggest thing. Also because Microsoft and Xbox, like so rarely is what I would consider like the big game of the time like actually coming out on Game Pass. Like a lot of times it's on other platforms to me, or not exclusive to that.
I ask because I have a friend who is not in the industry, but is like a hardcore gamer. Like we play games together a lot, and he is like the opposite. Where like he is the Game Pass person. Where like he is always downloading stuff, and he keeps track of what's coming and going. And if he sees like the list of what's leaving this month, he'll like go out of his way to play it. before it exits, because like, oh, I haven't played this one. I don't know when it's coming back. I better get to it. So like, and again, he is someone that is not beholden to keeping up with the new stuff. In fact, he only plays like a few new things, or at least like he only plays like a few of like what would be like the new games that year, each year, I guess. So he's living sort of the like charmed non-games media civilian life of like, wow, it must be nice to you're just gonna play the old stuff whenever you want. What? And you just have this library of weird things that either look cool or like, I don't know what this is, but I'm just gonna try because I can do that.
I think to my point earlier about like fandoms of specific games kind of warping what someone might think that like the opinions of a game are. I think every games media person needs to have at least a few people in their lives that play games regularly that like do not pay attention to like the discourse or like what's popular or whatever. Just to be like, oh yeah, this is what people actually care about, or what a different type of person than what I'm used to interacting with actually cares about.
It's like, this is what is really the majority of like the gaming world kind of behaves, of like, if you get out of our ultimately small media enthusiast bubble and get more to like, here's like the average gamer more or less. You know,
like there's different levels of involvement, and I think the important thing I would note there is people who definitely are not like, there are enthusiasts, but they're also, so one of my friends that I won't name you by name, but he's got kids and he's got a wife and all that. He's got a home life. And so he's definitely a gaming enthusiast, but a lot of the stuff he plays is stuff that he can either kind of hop in for just a round or two, or something that he can pause and step away from. So he plays RimWorld. He was playing Tarkov for a long time. I think he got into Arc Raiders when that came out, but he likes just kind of stuff that he can also play at his PC, because that's like kind of his bastion, you know, is where he can go and have his time and then come back out and do family stuff, versus like another one of my friends who is traveling all the time, and so he likes stuff on his Switch, on his handheld, because he travels for work, and so he tends to just play whatever random games kind of catch his attention on the Switch. And so I do think, for what it's worth, having those kind of dowsing rods to say like, what do people do when they're not just trying to always play the new thing and be plugged into every single stream that comes out and stuff like that. Is one of my other friends like would just play Final Fantasy Tactics on his phone all the time. Like that was the game he played, was he would just do a new run of Tactics. And then Evil East Chronicles came out and he was like, sick, I'm gonna play Evil East Chronicles all the time on my Switch now.
I love that.
I love that for him.
I love that like people usually have like their one game and it's like a live service game or like a shooter or something, and he's like, nah, Final Fantasy Tactics.
If you're gonna pick one game, Final Fantasy Tactics is a hell of a game.
It's have you ever read that like Will Wright, I remember in an interview like forever ago, talked about his daily routine and how he started every day by playing Advance Wars. Like he said, that was like so his daily ritual. He wakes up and he plays Advance Wars because he said it helps him get his brain going.
Yeah.
That's me in the 6th grade. That is literally me in the 6th grade.
Playing Wake Advance Wars every morning.
Yeah. Wake up, clock in. It's time to move tanks.
All right, well, I'm going to move on to the next service, and we'll all pick up the pace a little bit. I wanted to spend a little more time on Game Pass because it's kind of the big one. Next up, we have PlayStation Plus. This is the one that most recently I've spent the most time subscribed to because I specifically only play on my PS5. I don't boot up my Xbox very often. I don't know why. The PS5 is just the one that I've locked onto. PlayStation Plus Essential. First of all, gives you online multiplayer. A lot of these are, you kind of need to have online multiplayer, which is a very console thing, not really like a PC thing. It also has cloud storage for like your save data and stuff. It has a feature called Share Play, which I didn't realize was a thing that it had, where basically you can get someone else to like warg into your console, and so that's a way you can do like sorry, that's the verb they always used at Fanbyte. They would always say warg.
That's I've never thought of it like that, but I love it.
Good.
Honest to God, I learned that word of warg. Also, if you
just picturing someone going in a semi-seizure state as they're like, let me play Helldivers.
If you're unfamiliar, warging is a thing in Game of Thrones where you basically project your consciousness into an animal. And in this case, where you're projecting your console's consciousness into another console.
Yeah, your eyes roll behind your head as you're like, "Hey, let me help you with God of War real quick."
But it's like a remote play where like you're both playing on the same console, and I think you can use it to do like local co-op stuff from online.
Yeah,
and that's
there's like some fun workarounds.
I think that might have been how I played A Way Out.
That's
those
a
games.
perfect example of one of those. Anyways, and then they also have monthly free games. So if you're just subscribed to PlayStation Plus Essential tier, you just get like 3 or 4 games every month, and they're usually a mix of PS4 and PS5 games, though recently they might have phased out the PS4. I don't really pay attention because I only play on PS5. But that's also a fun thing of me, just one of the reasons I don't use Game Pass as much anymore, because I'm like, that game, I wonder if I just own it. Oh, I do. It was a PlayStation Plus free game they gave out in like November of 2022, and I've been subscribed since then, and I guess I own that game. And that's something I like about it. I recently have unsubscribed just because I forgot to re-up it. But yeah, are either of you PS Plus users? Eric made a face that I feel like he definitely is not.
I know I am, and you reminded me I need to turn it off because I literally only sub to it when I need it for multiplayer, and that's really frustrating for me because I used to use the cloud save option sometimes, but it really wasn't a thing that I ever got around to all that often. And it's the multiplayer requirement that can be coming back. I mean, it was nice to get Jeanne d'Arc for free when they re-released that for PS4. Yeah. That was sick.
Great game.
We all love Jeanne d'Arc around here. But
hey, I never heard of it, but I probably own it, so I can just go play that whenever I want.
That's all you need to
know.
It's
Fire Emblem, but Joan of Arc.
And if she was a Power Ranger.
It's awesome. It's really good. Great. I highly recommend.
There you go. I'm sold.
But honestly, like again, the PS Plus titles kind of dried up for me over the years, and I really wholly, especially like once I started playing on PC again, which was I think I built my gaming PC around 2014, 2015, and then kind of gradually moved everything over as the console generations went on, to the point that like by 2019, 2020, I was playing most stuff on either my PC or my Switch. And I still am to this day, mostly play on either PC or Switch. And it gets really annoying when you have that moment of, I want to play Night Rain with my friends, but I have to pay money to do it. Even though if we all bought this on Steam, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have to do that. And that's very frustrating to be honest, and I kind of wish that wasn't in the equation for any of these services, even the ones I like.
There's some that are like exempt from it. Like I'm pretty sure, I think at the very least on Xbox, like Fortnite, you don't have to pay any money for.
There are games that get exceptions. Interesting to note which ones get exceptions and which ones don't. Is what I will say. But it's definitely like I think that's just a bummer, and also it's just I don't use it for anything else, and it doesn't give me value anywhere else because again, I'm not really dipping. I will say that Sony's retro catalog is pretty decent, so when we get into those later tiers, they do get into some games that I think they do plumb the depths a little bit more in ways that appeal to me.
Yeah, I guess for me, I've had PS Plus since its inception because for most of my pretty much I've owned every PlayStation console, and from the PS1 onwards, it became my like primary console of choice. So when PSN started, I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to get this because at the time I had not gotten a 360 yet. So I was like, this is my online game machine, is this PlayStation. I also was not a PC gamer for the majority of my life. So I'm just sort of like, I've just had it. It's just been a legacy subscription. It's the oldest one that I've had of all the other ones. And when PS Plus started doing the free games thing, I was like, oh, this is incredible. Because they were like one of the first ones to ever do it, if not the first, of like, here's free games to sweeten the pot. Because the Xbox Live wasn't doing that.
They did. There was games with gold.
Games with gold.
Xbox had for a while.
Games with gold?
Yeah.
And did they start doing the free games with gold before PSN started doing it or after?
I feel like it was before, but I had an Xbox before I had a PlayStation, so I don't really know.
I don't remember the timing, but I do remember that the big difference was games with gold gave you the game. Like you got ownership of the game versus it being tied to you maintaining your subscription status to access it.
On PlayStation Plus, I still have the games despite my subscription being lapsed.
Well, I think it shows in your library, but I don't think you can fire it up.
I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure it gives them to you.
I'm gonna do some research real quick while you all continue discussing.
Okay. Journalism is happening right now.
Yeah,
live on the air. But yeah, so but it was, at least for me, it was my first time being like, "Whoa, you're just giving me games for being subscribed? That's crazy." And again, not having as many responsibilities, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make copious use of this." And as time has gone on, and especially again once I started, doing this for a line of work, like I almost never touch my PS. It went from like I stopped really playing the new PS Plus games to where I even stopped checking. Where I used to make it like I was on a clock of like, okay, first of the month, let's see what's here. And now I'll go like 2-3 months and I'll go like, oh yeah, I guess I just checked this. Like I'll just happen to log into my PS5 one day and be like, I haven't checked this in a while. What do they got over here? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna add to my library and probably never see them again. So it's become, but the thing that keeps me subscribed is really the thing that got me in the first place is you needed to play online.
Yeah.
And I justify it as a work expense at this point where it's like, I review enough things on PlayStation or enough games come out where like, I might need that online subscription. This might have an online mode that I need to access or, just something like I don't want, it's very much the like just in case sort of thing of like I don't want to suddenly run into a situation where it's like, oh, I want to play this online. Oh, right, I don't have that subscribe. Oh, I gotta re-up for a month, and then it becomes a question like, well, do I pay for a month? What if it happens again next month? And then I'm technically paying more if I'm buying a month and instead of just like multiple months. And this job is enough reason for me to be like, I just need to have this accessible at all times because I don't know what's gonna get past my way that needs to be online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I justify keeping it to this day. Unfortunately, they've raised the price on that too in the last couple years or so. But yeah, it's just become ingrained in my like budget at this point that I guess I don't notice or mind it. It's weird, but that's my justification for keeping it.
A quick note, the virtual streets are saying that you do need to maintain your subscription to maintain access to any PS Plus premium or free games that you have acquired. It will lock if your subscription lapses.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was always
that's fascinating.
There were individual reports of people who like left the game open after their subscription ended, and they were able to keep playing the game so long as their console didn't turn off or they didn't close the game and switch to a different game or something.
It's like,
but the second they did, it then locked out.
It's the equivalent of being in a store when it's closed and they won't let anyone else in, but you can still finish your purchase.
Exactly. You can stay in Toys R Us as long as they don't catch you. That's accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I just always stayed subscribed.
Please don't do that.
Yeah. No. Don't go to Toys R Us in 2026. Okay. I guess I just always stayed subscribed. So I guess it's not the same. Interesting. Well, that's worse then. But I still used it, and I still like having the games. I guess, quote unquote, having the games. This is a continual thing. I think the two biggest things that we'll talk about are one, is this ownership thing. And this is particularly an issue for me with the Nintendo stuff, where it's like subscriptions have replaced owning stuff, and you don't really ever own things. We're just renting everything. And a frustrating reality that like stuff like the fact that I have my wall of all these different games behind me or things I can always boot up and go back to and play and be like, oh, I remember playing this game and liking this game or not or whatever. I just still have those memories. Just a weird thing of me being like, yep, oh, I eventually, 20 years from now, I might not even be able to access my PlayStation Plus library, and it'll be like, oh, remember when you had all those games? Too bad we closed or we did whatever and we shut it down.
Does that make you feel better when you technically never owned them? Because now like the moment you let the subscription lapse, they took it away from you anyway.
If to be honest with how I feel like you each personally took like 300 games out of my library that I amassed over the last 5 years that I had, and now that I have the knowledge that I don't have them, it's your fault. That's how I feel, like emotionally.
Yeah, because I guess because knowing how this arrangement works from the beginning, I never felt any ownership for those games. I knew like the moment I stopped giving you money, they're gone. So I have no personal attachment to that library. The ones that I actually paid money for, that's a bit of a different story. But all the like hundreds of PS Plus games that I probably have, I'm like them. If they went away, I wouldn't be like, oh no. I'd be like, yeah, I never owned those. I didn't pay for those. Well, I mean, I technically paid for them, but not in the I subscribed to borrow them basically.
Well, and crucially, so we were talking about the essential tier right now, which is $10 a month. Also, a lot of these have different prices if you decide to pay for like every 3 months or yearly. I find the monthly price is a better basis. It always frustrates me when something's like for as little as $3 a month, and then you click on it, it's like when you pay annually, idiot. If you want to play monthly, it's $20,000 a month, which always sucks. Anyways, we've got Extra, which gives you the game catalog. So this is like their Game Pass equivalent in terms of like you're playing modern games or what's in their game catalog. This page on the PlayStation Plus website doesn't have the total number, so I don't know how much it is off the top of my head. It's like okay, this says featuring hundreds of games, so some amount of hundreds. I feel like it's smaller than the Xbox games catalog. I don't have any evidence to support that. Notably, PlayStation hasn't ever really been like, day one, we're going to put our big, like Spider-Man 2 didn't launch on PlayStation Plus, and it would be pretty surprising if it did. And eventually they'll come to that service, most likely. But it's it's much more of a back catalog you're paying for rather than like staying up to date, so to speak, with the newest releases.
I wonder how long it takes. I've never gotten a sense of the time frame between launch and we'll put our big first party thing on. Extra.
I feel like it's at least a year or so.
Is it like the same cadence as like this is coming to PC? It takes as long for it to come to Extra.
Maybe a little shorter, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's also PlayStation really, in my mind at least, I don't know what the like numbers say, really relies on its first party games. Like that's where a lot of the value of PlayStation is it's like, well, that's the only place you can play God of War or Spider-Man or Ghost of Yotei, etc.
Right.
I should also clarify that I've only ever been subscribed to the lowest tier, which used to be the only tier before they added the 2 extra tiers, and then I got knocked down to the bottom. But I've never been compelled to pay for the other 2 tiers.
I was on the extra tier for a while when I was subscribed, because I think that is the one that does give you access to older games. So being able to access I'm looking at the catalog right now. Wait, what?
So there's essential, then there's extra, and then there's premium. And premium has the older stuff.
Okay, premium is the one that has the older stuff. I was on that for a little bit because it did give me access to, but I think they also changed that at some point or so, because there were games that were coming to extra and premium, but then there were ones that were only going to premium.
I don't know.
If I remember correctly.
I mean, the biggest criticism with their tiers is that it's unnecessarily complicated.
Yes.
Yeah. They also have so the extra has like games. It also has Ubisoft Plus classics, which is interesting. It's not Ubisoft Plus. It's Ubisoft Plus Classic, so it's some of the Ubisoft games. I was on the extra tier like 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe now, where I replayed all the Assassin's Creed games, or at least a lot of the Assassin's Creed games, and it was easier for me to pay for PlayStation Plus Extra rather than to buy the ones that I didn't have. And then the top, and so that's $15 a month, and then $18 a month is PlayStation Plus Premium, which includes that classics catalog Eric was talking about. It has cloud streaming, so you're basically streaming a lot of these older games. Am I right that it's PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games in this library?
I just saw Ark the Lad in there, as well as Ape Escape 1, and I see Dark Cloud, the first Dark Cloud, as well as Dark Cloud 2 are on here as well. So we got the whole spread.
So yeah, and that's one I've honestly been considering, not seriously considering, thinking about trying out PlayStation Plus Premium, because I have a PlayStation Portal. And if you pay for premium, you can do cloud streaming. And now the portal can do supports streaming from the cloud as opposed to just remote play from a console, which is a thing that you'd think it would always be able to do, and I wish I could do it without a subscription, but I don't know. That is maybe my most regretful game purchase, like game hardware purchase, the PlayStation Portal, because I never use it. It doesn't really...
I didn't know you had one.
I got one maybe a year ago, a little more than a year ago. I don't know. It's I really liked, you know what it was? I loved the idea of playing Metaphor Refantasio in bed, because my PlayStation's out in the living room, and we were talking about turn-based like tactical stuff, but that's just one where I'm like, I don't want to have to always be sitting out here when I play this game. It's really long. I just want to be able to play it in as many locations as possible. So I got the Portal, but it just like my Wi-Fi is like fine, but it's not good enough to support the like timed button pressing or stuff that you get from something like that. Just like running around in the open world, that always was hard for me.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, honestly, that speaks to like one of the reasons I don't feel the need to upgrade is like cloud streaming's kind of the big,
it's not,
or one of the
it's not
carrots.
there yet.
And I just don't like cloud streaming at all. Like, I don't care what genre game it is. I just never want to have to worry about latency. Like, my internet's good, but even then, I just never. The moment I see any dip or stutter, I'm gonna be like, "This sucks." I'm just gonna go back to console. It's why I didn't buy a Portal. Because I was like, "This is antithetical to how I want to play games." It's like it's built on cloud streaming, and I don't want a handheld that I can't leave the house with. If I want to do that, I can pull out my Wii U. It's like I've already lived that life. So.
My understanding is that, and I could be wrong because I've posted about this a few times. My understanding is that the cloud streaming and the remote play are different levels of good, and that cloud streaming has gotten better over time. Remote play for me has a lot more latency, but that's why I haven't tried the cloud streaming on PlayStation Portal, I guess. Maybe I'm still being delusional and I'm like, it'll still be worth it, this purchase that I made.
I've only tried cloud streaming on 2 different services. I tried the Xbox one and it was okay. I don't remember it being remarkably good or bad.
Do you know when you did that? Out of curiosity,
that would have been like at least 3 years ago or something.
I did
like that. It was a while back.
Yeah, I did it when it launched and was like, this is fine, but not.
Yeah, I tried it.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna do everything like this.
The other one I tried, which we'll talk about in a moment, is the Switch cloud stuff.
Yes.
Specifically the ones that were coming out only for AAA games. I tried Control Cloud on the Switch. Oh my god.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, that game struggled on PS4 hardware.
Yeah,
I can't
crazy
imagine
that they would even
playing
sell
over
that.
the internet.
Yeah.
Instead, the Switch that's being lit on fire is thousands of miles away from you and trying to stream you the game at
Your
the
Switch
same
is
time.
quietly screaming, like, why are you making me do this?
It's doing the R2D2 yell.
Yes. Anyways, that's PlayStation. It sounds like this is one that we all are. This is the first one all 3 of us are currently subscribed to by choice, but maybe when this podcast ends, Eric will not be anymore until there's another online.
We've witnessed the death of a subscription service live on the air.
Yeah.
Next
up, we'll talk about Nintendo Switch Online, the weirdest one of these. It does a lot of things at the same time, and I have it. I have the expansion pack plan.
Yeah, I think we all do, right?
I think we all do.
That's another one that
to play Path of Radiance, I think you need it, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think GameCube's
this
part
is
of
another
that,
one
so.
disclosure that Nintendo provided Game Informer with.
Which?
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe Eric, you paid for it. I know mine is from Nintendo.
Well, I had it, and I got it before Nintendo sent us the code, and it was like it actually doesn't work because I paid for a year. And you can't like buy another year and then extend what you had. Like it has to be a lapsed account or whatever. So
yeah, did it like overwrite your?
It just didn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
I pay for this. I will continue to pay for this. If I only had to pick, if I only had to pick one gaming subscription that I have, it would be to continue my Final Fantasy 14 subscription, and then it would be to keep Switch.
I'm sorry to suggest that you take handouts, Eric. I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
No. If anything, I'm not being offered the handouts.
Eric
I would gladly take
handouts. He's always talking about bootstraps.
Yeah. Gotta pull yourself up by your expansion pack. Yeah.
Get that premium sub.
So Switch Online is interesting. It does a lot of things. It does have online play, so there are instances where you might want to do that. I don't know who's like really intense about it. My brother was like really into playing Smash Online for a hot minute, so he would have it for that. If you're trying to play
that is definitely
Mario Kart Online,
oh, Mario Kart World for sure, yeah,
you're playing with friends that are distant, etc. There's instances where you would use that. Not what people go to Nintendo platforms for traditionally, but there's definitely some big games that you could. Oh, you're disagreeing with me.
I just said Animal Crossing. Like that's the reason to have Switch Online versus anything else. You got to have it for that.
I would have said like,
yeah,
like
that's probably true 4 years ago.
No, I mean Splatoon's great. Like I play a lot of. I think Nintendo's multiplayer offering is very good on its first party front. Like Mario Kart's great. Smash doesn't always work if it ever does, but I still play it anyways because I'm a broken man. I would have said Mario Party if not for Lego Party coming out, but then Lego Party also very fun multiplayer. And yeah, like Animal Crossing, being able to go to your friends' islands, to trade stuff, to do all the different things you can do with online when it comes to that. Yeah, you absolutely want it for that, if nothing else.
I guess I didn't consider it for any of those because those are mostly things I do locally that you like can't do locally with other consoles. So like if I'm playing Animal Crossing, I'm trading with like the people in my household or like my friends when I see them in person. I'm doing a lot more local Switch stuff. But that's just me, and I hadn't occurred to me that to me it's like a Call of Duty. That to me is like there's games that you could only play online and you would only play online that I'm playing on like PlayStation. That's what I'm thinking of. I guess where I was coming from.
There was a thing that happened called the COVID-19 pandemic in which we crucially could not visit each other's houses and were thus not able to trade items in person.
That's
and I
when
do
we
think that changed. Yeah. Legitimately, there was a huge boom in online gaming and Discord communities and things like that around the COVID-19 pandemic. And largely, like, I myself have seen entire communities and friend groups formed around things like playing Animal Crossing online. So, I think for that reason alone, it's already like a pretty notable thing. I still don't like it. I'm still not happy about having to pay to get multiplayer access. I think that's silly.
I wonder what the percentage of Nintendo Switch Online subscribers are people that signed up during the pandemic and just kept forgetting to cancel it. And every year they get that like $20 hit in their bank account. They're like, oh, that thing. God, I forgot I was paying for that.
So,
I got another year. I got to keep it.
Someone listening to the pod right now just had that moment.
Just got the email.
I'm still sub to that. Yeah.
So on that note, Switch Online, the price it's a lot more affordable than these other ones. It is a thing where like PlayStation Plus, for example, is something where at least two of the three of us were like, I want the online multiplayer, and they're adding other stuff to it that I have to buy in order to get the online multiplayer. Or maybe you would love to have like an option where you're paying less just for multiplayer sometimes. Switch Online, it's $20 for a whole year. So a year of base Switch Online is less than 1 month of Ultimate Game Pass, which is wild. And that gets you online play, that gets you some of the classics library, that gets you NES, SNES, and Game Boy. That gets you the Nintendo Music app. On Switch 2, that gets you Game Chat. We all love it. And then you can also save data in the cloud. That's what all those things do. And transfer
is also huge.
That's actually one of my main reasons for, I mean, outside of just academic reasons, but I do like having cloud storage is a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one a lot because I think I didn't run into it as often with PlayStation having to like delete a game and then reload a game and things like that. But with the Switch, I was doing it more often. Then obviously moving from my original Switch to my OLED and then from my OLED to my Switch 2, being able to pull down all that stuff and just carry everything over was huge. And again, it was for $20 a year, which is so much less than everything else is asking right now. Even on the metric of just subscription services, not even counting games, that's so much cheaper than everything else out there.
Yeah. And that's also, I'm talking the individual prices, right? A lot of people are on a Switch family plan where you don't need to be family members. You can link a bunch of accounts. 8 people can share a family plan account, and it's $35 a year for 8 people, which is
I'm sorry.
wild.
I wish when you clarified that you don't have to be part of the same family, I was like, I wish Nintendo tried to verify that. Like, is that really your brother? You're gonna need some proof.
Yeah. Your Miis don't look similar enough to each other.
Yeah, you got to send like your family tree to them.
Nintendo supports found families, all right? Even in their plans.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the expansion pack, which is all the stuff as before, and then add stuff. Notably, we're talking about Path of Radiance, which is a GameCube game. On the Switch 2, it adds access to their GameCube game library. On both Switch 1 and Switch 2, it adds the Nintendo 64 games, Game Boy Advance games. And then there's a bunch of specific big first-party Nintendo games that have DLC that's exclusive to Switch On, the expansion pack. Sorry, not exclusive to the expansion pack, but you get it, quote-unquote, for free with the expansion pack. So this is Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. They both get up to their upgraded Switch 2 upgrades. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you get the whole booster course pass, which is like 48 more tracks. I might be making that number up. It's a lot of more tracks. You get the Animal Crossing New Horizons Happy Home Paradise DLC. You get the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, and then also they separated the Sega Genesis catalog from all of the Nintendo ones because they're like, well, they're not real. But you can also play Sega Genesis games specifically with the expansion pack. Yeah. That is individually $50 a year. Family plan $80 a year. Again, if you're getting 8 people total, then it's $10 a year for all those things. Yeah. If you have 8 people, absolutely the way to go. You just gotta,
assuming they're all chipping in, of course.
Yeah. I was paying for a bunch of people. I was paying for a family plan for Switch 1, and it was a bunch of people that I like didn't really talk to, and it was like the 3rd year, and I was like,
so like a real family.
Wow. Nintendo's, they're checking to see if you've texted them, really. Yeah.
Have you checked in on your family plan recently?
Checked in on your family plan members recently? I canceled it, and I just started paying for an individual one, I think, because I was just like, I'm not going to keep doing this for people that don't care. Also, I was upgrading to the expansion pass, and I was like, I don't feel like, Anyways, so we all have the expansion pass. I have it. I bought for it. I paid for it. Eric, you paid for it. Marcus, would you be paying for it if it wasn't provided by Nintendo?
I have paid for it. Actually, so the first time I got it was through Nintendo, and then we got laid off. And then during that year, it like auto renewed. So, I mean, I guess I didn't pay for it by choice, but I was like, oh, right, I got to pay for this now. All right. So like the last year was on my dime. And then we got another sub through them. That said, because the expansion pass is $50 a year, I think it is, right? This one's harder. Out of all the libraries that all the 3 subscription services offer, I was the most bummed, or would be the most bummed to lose Nintendo's. I think theirs is the most appealing in terms of like, oh, these are all like classic retro games. Some of them are like Japan or Japanese releases that are in like available stateside for the first time. So there's weird little oddities like that are interesting for me. And I think like I can go without Game Pass, but like this one I'd be like, oh man, I kind of miss having those N64 games or those SNES games. It'd be cool to just, and not like I'm firing those up even often, but I would, between the comparatively cheaper price tag and the more appealing library, I would keep paying for Switch Online. And again, cloud saves. That's big for Switch.
Yeah.
I think if you strip out the quality of life features and you even just look at the retro catalog, I really think it's a good retro catalog that Nintendo has curated. The Sega stuff especially, like you can play Phantasy Star 4 on your Switch right now. You can just boot it up on the expansion pass, and that owns like it's a really hard game to get like proper access to otherwise, and a lot of other stuff is on there like that. I think the N64 stuff, to your point, Like you can just boot up Pokemon Stadium and play some mini games and stuff like that. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, that sounds great. Like nobody. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. How many people are actually booting up Smash 64 versus Smash Bros Ultimate? Like that's not happening very often.
Yeah,
but
you do it to show your kids, like, look how far we came from this. You see what this used to be?
Yeah. Yeah. To
yeah,
me,
this is what it used to be, and they're like, okay, can we go back to Ultimate now?
Where's Sonic?
Go pick Joker. Yeah. It is an impressive offering that they continue to do. I always hit a point where I'm like, oh, I wish they were doing more. And then they announced that they're doing GameCube, and not just the GameCube games that you would expect, but here's Path of Radiance. Here's I don't think we have this yet, but at some point, yeah, Chibi Robo, XD Gale of Darkness is supposed to come to it at some point, which is a crazy cut. Like it's almost like Nintendo went to the list of the highest priced GameCube games and said, we're going to put these on the service. You know, we're just going to really help the people out.
Yeah, like as a Switch 2 owner, the GameCube library only like solidifies. Like I'm not getting rid of this because I never had a GameCube, and I have gone back over the years and played some of the big stuff from GameCube, like Sunshine and Wind Waker. But there's stuff that I'm like, man, I'm counting down the days until they can somehow make Eternal Darkness happen. I've always wanted to play that.
Oh, that'd be so sick. That'd be so awesome.
You're like, now you're saying it's possible we can get this on like modern platforms because of this library? Well, I gotta keep it for that day to come.
Get custom Robo on there. I'm doing the Kratos meme, like put custom Robo on my Switch 2, Nintendo. Yeah, it's I genuinely am surprised for a company that I do think usually struggles with how it packages its retro nostalgia and things like that. Nintendo Switch Online is like totally worth it to me, and I think if I could only pick one service out of these to keep, and granted I am a Switch 2 user, like I use my Switch 2 a lot. If you don't use your Switch a lot, so yeah, these platforms really just end up being for the power users of their respective platforms, right? Like Xbox Game Pass, if you own an Xbox, if all you play is games on Xbox, you're going to want Xbox Game Pass. But if you're like me and you only play stuff on PC or Switch, granted Game Pass is also on PC, but take PlayStation. If you really only play on PlayStation, then Plus is going to be a magnitude higher of importance for you. But I think when it comes to Switch, I do think the offerings they give are both in quality of life and what they add to the games that you either already own or will own, because if you buy a Nintendo console, you're buying Nintendo games. That's kind of how it's always gone. They do offer a lot in that respect, and I think it really has made that service feel like a standout for me compared to the other two.
Yeah, I do think it's an interesting, like, there's an extent of, like, if I own a PlayStation, I can understand not having PlayStation Plus if you're not playing online all that much. There is an extent to which I feel like if you have a Switch or a Switch 2 especially, you don't have the Switch Online, it kind of feels like you're not getting the most out of the console. Like I feel like the retro offerings are like a big draw for a lot of like a wide audience of people.
Yeah, I wonder how much that is, how much true that is for younger people that didn't.
Definitely not.
I'm always curious about that.
I think it's nostalgia driven for sure.
I was gonna bring that up of like Eric mentioned, and I know you weren't saying everyone in the world is playing this game, but you mentioned Phantasy Star, what, 4?
Hey, everybody in the world should be playing Phantasy Star 4. You know, like we are. We'd be a better world for it.
Just a thing that like I do see that like if. Like I'm always someone that's liked going back and being like, oh, these are games that came out before my time, before I was born, in the older era, whatever. I think there is a type of person that's interested in that. I also think there's a lot of like kids or younger people that would play a Switch and would not see the appeal necessarily of some of these older games. But also like kids aren't really subscribing to stuff a lot of the time. It's I feel like a lot more specific instances where maybe if it was a family plan, I guess a kid might have access to it, but they would want it more for other stuff, I would guess. If they're
busy playing Roblox, let's be honest with ourselves.
They're busy playing Roblox.
I mean, it's a retro game at this point.
That's a take that's too hot for us to dwell a single second of thought on.
That's wild, but like you're kind of onto something.
I'm gonna do a bit of a rundown of like some other subscription services I know of that I don't necessarily know if we're paying for, but I do want to just at the end go around and just say like other gaming like regular expenses that you pay for, whether you think they're worth it or you feel like you're getting ripped off, but it's like I gotta, the kind of thing of like I need to pay for it to play online or whatever. Apple Arcade is something I think I have. I think you can buy it and it like shares with like your family plan on Apple. It's not something I use all that often, but it's something that I used a lot. Actually, that's not true. I love Grindstone. I play Grindstone on Apple Arcade all the time. But that's if you got an Apple product, iPhone, iPad, you got a lot of really good mobile games on there, and it is a really nice like modern version of. There's a lot of like Fruit Ninja Plus or something, where it's a game that existed for free as a kid. For me as a kid, it existed for free, a decade, 15 years ago, whenever it was, that you could pay to remove ads. You could pay for like an upgraded version, or a lot of games that have become laden with ads. The nice thing about Apple Arcade is it's like, this is the mobile game experience without the ads. It feels a lot less predatory. It feels like it's actually a game that you're supposed to play and enjoy. So I recommend it. I have it right now. I'm not a huge mobile gamer at the moment, but there's definitely been periods of my life where I'm like, couldn't imagine going without it. There's also EA Play, which I've actually never heard of someone just subscribing to EA Play. I'm sure there are people
that person
that
doesn't
do.
exist. They're not real.
EA Play and like Ubisoft Plus are two examples of services that I'm like, they exist. You can pay for them monthly. They get you a very specific selection of games. I don't know who's paying for it. That is like if you're such a diehard EA fan, but you don't have the games that they would offer, or like with Ubisoft.
I think if you subscribe to Ubisoft Plus, the only people on your friends list are just members of the Guillermo family.
Yeah.
They're the only other people that use it.
If this is you, please comment below. Please tell us about your lived experience. Leave out no detail. We need to understand you better. We need to study you scientifically.
I think if I had to guess, you're either on the EA side like a hardcore, like, oh, I play Apex Legends or something like that, or like Madden, or for Ubisoft, like, man, I'm really into Rainbow Six Siege or like that, But do you even need those services to play those games? Like,
that's what's funny, right? Is it's not like they haven't built their model. So like Ubisoft
it's not
Plus,
like
for example,
they didn't do that or anything. Yeah.
So Ubisoft has Classics and Premium. Classics is an evolving selection. This says of games on PC. I wonder if it is PC specific. And then standard editions. And then you get 20% discount on games included in your plan. So I guess if you're paying to like own a game that's in the subscription, it's 20% off, which I think is the thing Game Pass does, which is nice, I guess, but kind of defeats the purpose of, I don't know.
These feel like services that somebody forgot to turn off because they were like, well, every once in a while some money trickles in from that faucet, so why turn it off? We don't need to.
It's like
just leave it open.
Yves Guillemot is in a break room and an employee walks in and he's like, oh, hey, what do you do here? And he's like, oh, I'm in charge of Ubisoft Plus. And Yves just like makes a mental note to shut that down and fire that person. Like, he's like, we're still doing that?
We just closed a different studio. I totally forgot we could have destroyed the streaming service.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. No. Whoever you are that works on that, you deserve to keep your job,
yes,
or to be transferred somewhere else. I don't want to make jokes about laying people off because I literally wrote up a layoff story about Ubisoft today.
We have been laid off. We know what it's like. We're talking.
Anyways, the premium is $18 a month and includes day one releases of hot new Ubisoft games. Which again is a thing of like, you know how you
pay version of Sands of Time remake. It's coming.
I was gonna say
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
I was gonna say Just Dance, but I do think Just Dance has transitioned into a live service model.
You pay
that
to
makes
access
sense.
the new
Assassin's
songs.
Creed Shadows came out last year.
It did come out. I mean, there's Star Wars Outlaws, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. Like, there are Ubisoft games that exist.
There's a lot of people playing that Avatar game right now.
Yeah, but it's also
they watched
like
the new movie and they were like, we got to play some Avatar.
You can play in third person now.
But it's like, did you need to pay $18 a month to maybe?
Probably not. No.
now just talking about other subscriptions we pay for personally, I'm curious of the things people mentioned in the comments of if you pay for EA Play or Ubisoft Plus, just in general things that you pay for, what you think is worth it or used to be worth it and it isn't anymore, or vice versa. It's not a video game per se, but I did want to say I do subscribe to the D&D Beyond Master tier. This is Dungeons and Dragons online tool set. It is just easier in a lot of aspects, especially when I'm teaching newer people how to play, to just be like, here is a service. You click the buttons instead of having to read and understand what to write in what box. I appreciate that it streamlines it a lot. And the master tier, I can like share the content that I bought or own digitally. I can share that with everyone else in my campaign. So if someone wants like a subclass for a weird book they don't have, then they don't have to go buy it themselves. So I have the master tier. I think the hero tier is cheaper. It's like $6 a month or something like that. I should know exactly. Yeah, $6 plus tax, which is pretty good. It's not that expensive. You still have to pay for all the books and stuff, which is what sucks. But once you own them, I'm just paying to share them, which is fine. And that's really the only thing off the top of my head. Every time lately, the reason I came up with this is I'll be like, oh, shoot, I am still paying for that thing. I don't want to be paying for that. And then I forget to cancel it. What about you guys? What are the subscription? This could also be like a battle pass or, you know, an MMO subscription, just things you're paying for regularly in your gaming life.
Yeah, I mentioned before I still pay for Final Fantasy 14. I started playing it in COVID. Actually, it was around the time that Endwalker dropped, if I remember, because I was trying to sneak onto the servers to play a Realm Reborn while the Heaven's Warrior Stormblood. I guess technically fourth, but fifth like expansion was out for a video game, and everybody was logging on to play it, and I was like, I'm playing Realm Reborn and fighting the queues for that. But I subbed to it. I've kept my sub the entire time. I haven't let it lapse. I've been paying for it myself the entire time, mostly because I really like just being able to log on and play whenever I want to. And also, like, I play a lot of different aspects of that game. So Triple Triad is on there, gathering, hunting, stuff like that is all on there. And it's like a very relaxing game for me. It's like a very soothing game, especially because it has different stuff that you can do that's not just going to do raids and things like that. It's kind of what I boot up when I don't really know what I want to play. I just want to like poke away at something or take something off a checklist or whatever. And I love 14. It's such a good game. I can't recommend it enough. The free trial is fantastic. I won't do the whole meme, the sales pitch, but other stuff. I used to spend a lot more money when it came to things like cosmetics in games that I played. So Dota 2, League of Legends, stuff like that. I would buy skins, and that wasn't necessarily buying the, like, now they do have battle passes alongside the skins that they sell. And usually in a game, what I will do is, if a game has something in a battle pass that I want, I like that games are doing this now. They will let you earn progress on the battle pass. And then once you hit you can hit the level that you would get it at, and then you buy the battle pass and you get everything that you would have unlocked if you had been a premium member in that time. And I know that that's kind of a carrot and stick situation, but I like it because it means that I can play a game and it lets me kind of meter myself to say, okay, if I really would have put in the time and investment to get the thing, if it really mattered that much to me, then I can get there and buy the pass when I want it, get the skin, feel good about myself, move on with my life. Or like if I never got there, then it really didn't matter that much to me at the end of the day, and I can just move on and not have spent the money. So I've bought like a Fortnite pass or two here or there. I don't think I've bought a League of Legends pass yet, but the new season was kind of tempting me. But again, I'm waiting to see if I actually get there or not. I almost did that with the Dota 2 pass over the holidays. Then I was like, once I got the base levels of the sets, I was like, I don't really want any more of these, so I'm not gonna pay money for them. And that was it. I like that method. It feels like a good balance of, like, I don't love battle passes, but at least now there's a better way to meter it out for myself to where I don't feel like I'm then like dedicating myself to getting my money's worth out of it after I've bought it. So yeah,
I like that a lot. I think there is a an element where they're trying to use FOMO of like, well, if you had the battle pass, you'd have unlocked all these things. But I really like the way you are using like that mindset of it, of like, I'll buy it when I get to the thing that I actually want, which I think is totally valid.
And then if I didn't get there, I didn't really want it that bad. Like that happened with the Simpsons Fortnite season, where I was like, oh, this battle pass is so sick. There's all these Simpsons characters in it. And then I didn't get very far in the battle pass that season. And I was like, oh, well, it would be cool to have that stuff available to me, but I guess it really didn't matter if I didn't feel the need to grind for it, whereas I felt the need to grind for other stuff in other games before. But it does end up meaning that I spend less money overall because I'm not feeling that need to do that stuff.
Yeah, I have in the past paid for Fortnite Crew when I was playing that game really regularly, and I have paid for I bought a few Marvel Rivals battle passes, but I haven't been playing that game as intensely as I was like a year ago. But yeah, what about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I'm pretty straightforward. I really only pay for like the 3 console maker subscriptions, so like Game Pass, PS Plus, Nintendo Online. Regardless of whether or not they are provided to me by the console maker, I was paying for them before that. And a lot of it, again, this job, like I mentioned before, is a great excuse to be like, well, I mean, you know, I might have to play something online. It's just good to always have this going, even though I'm not the biggest online multiplayer guy, especially competitive multiplayer. Like if I do play online, it's like in a cooperative sense, like, oh, me and my buddy are gonna run through this game together. So, and then even then, it's like the lowest. Well, I guess that's not true either. Like for PlayStation, it's the lowest tier, like the essential tier. I have no desire to upgrade above it. Nintendo, I paid for the expansion pack, where I would, because I want that full library. And it's still cheaper, a lot cheaper than a lot of other annual subs. And then for Game Pass, if it had not been paid for me by Microsoft, I would probably bump it down a tier or two, just because it's like, well, I don't need access to the full library, because I don't access it that much, again, because of just my gaming habits as a result of this job. But I just need to have access to online. Like I need to be able to play online on my Xbox, so I can do that with like the lowest tier. Other than that, like I have an Android, so I don't have Apple Arcade or Apple anything. Since I don't play competitive multiplayer games, I don't do Battle Pass stuff ever. The only live game I keep up with is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. And then the soon-to-be 4 years since that game's been out, I have paid real money twice. Like that game is actually quite good about, if you play often enough, you will earn the in-game currency just through playing, to where like I've just used every gem that I've earned to buy the in-game battle pass has just been earned in-game. And there's only been 2 instances that I was like, oh, I need more gems to get these cards that I really want, and I don't want to open pack for them, so I'll give them like $5. And I kind of treat it like a tip of like, well, I've been playing like 3 years with this game for free. I think I can afford to give them $5. And Fortnite, I have paid money for Fortnite. As someone I play Fortnite super infrequently. It's like once in a blue moon, or like either friends are like, hey, we're all getting in, do you want to play? And I'm like, sure, like if I'm invited. Or if it's like in the case of the Simpsons event, we're like, okay, that's too cool for me to ignore, because that's like a specific interest or like thing that I like the Dragon Ball thing was the other instance where like, oh, I gotta get in there. Yeah. I love Dragon Ball. And then I bought the only skins I've ever bought in Fortnite, because I've never bought a battle pack, so I don't play it like that, but I bought like a Spider-Man skin a couple years ago, and then I bought the K-pop Demon Hunters pack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because my girlfriend, who also is like obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters but has never played Fortnite, I told her like, they're in the game. Wouldn't it be fun if we like as an excuse to play Fortnite, you would just play as the K-pop Demon Hunters? And then it was right when the Simpsons event started, so we got the double whammy of like, perfect. Oh, Simpsons, and we're both like, I'm Rumi and you're the other one.
The other one?
Do you play as Rumi?
I'm Rumi. Or at least I did in that one in our matches. I don't care about. I'll be any of them. She picked she picked Zoe, the rapper.
Yes, Zoe's the rapper.
Yeah, she was Zoe, so I was like, I'll be Rumi. Yeah. Wait, what's the other one's name again?
Mira. Yeah.
Mira. Okay. Yeah,
I've seen this movie twice of my own volition and 3 more times not of my own volition. So I know more about this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I've only seen it once. I'm a fake gamer boy or a fake fan.
Yeah, you're not caught up on the lore for Fortnite.
Yeah, sorry. I'm caught up in the lore of Springfield. I was like, oh yeah, I know that. I'm a Simpsons fan. But yeah, that is to say, like, yeah, I don't really do battle passes. I just because I know myself well enough. Like, I don't play multiplayer games like that. Even ones that I like stick with for like a period of time. Like when Halo Infinite came out, I was playing that with friends online pretty regularly. But I still know it's like, well, the free battle pass is enough for like my pace. Like, I won't even finish the free battle pass, so why would I think I would finish the paid one?
Halo Infinite had the best battle pass system. It is legitimately like the best system I've ever seen, where you just pick your pass. I think Helldivers actually does this too, where you do have to buy into the pass, but then you just gain progress on whatever pass you have opted into. It's not, they have seasonal ones that they add, but then you can go back and choose other passes and build up through those. And I think that model is the best model. It completely does away, like, that's the major thing I don't like about Fortnite, is that there's so much FOMO baked into it. And same with other games, like League of Legends does the same thing, or they move things into legacy stuff that you then have to find other like avenues through their monetization system to get that stuff out. And I like that those games were just like, hey, we're going to give you a pass and you can just get progress. When you play the game, you get capital P progress on anything you want, whatever you have chosen that you want as your progression track. And God, it made me like those games more, and like outside their actual games themselves. I enjoyed being in their ecosystems more than I enjoy being in the ecosystem of something like a Fortnite.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I throw money at.
Yeah.
I think my main takeaways from this is there's not a lot we're super enthusiastic about paying for. Maybe I'm projecting on this.
Who here's excited to spend money?
Exactly. I mean, I would say you're enthusiastic about like Nintendo Switch Online, for example, where it's a thing where it's like it feels like it's worth the cost of the thing. But I think in a lot of instances, a thing that's interesting, and I know that this is all on purpose, but like in a lot of instances, if I could pick the things I want and get rid of the stuff I don't want and just pay for like the specific stuff I'm actually there for, I would feel more respected. not that they're trying to respect me. They're just trying to get my money, and I know that. But I, for example, like the Nintendo Switch thing, I would have loved to just buy Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I don't love the idea that one day they'll take it down, or my subscription might lapse, or there'll be a new console that's not compatible with the Switch stuff, and then I have to buy it a new time, or there's a new subscription or whatever. So I don't love the way of it, and I'm gonna try to be more, I think, proactive about canceling stuff when I don't need it. But it is just an interesting state of the world of gaming right now. Is there's a lot of ways to spend money, and it's easy to lose track of the ways you are if you're like a serious dedicated gamer.
Yes, please. Yeah. I think it's always important to take a hard look at yourself. Check your budget every month. I have a retort. Monthly, I will review my subs and go like, what do I actually need? Am I using Netflix right now? Am I using this? I'm going to cut it.
Right.
Be honest with yourself when it comes to this stuff, because gaming's already an expensive hobby without the subs tied to it. So like, keep as much money in your pocket as you can. And remember, these companies don't respect you, like Charles said. No respect for you.
I'm going to come out of this writing a punk rock song about gaming subscriptions.
That is, I will say, like, that's one of the reasons why I've kept my 14 sub, is I feel like that's at least very upfront and honest of saying, you pay us for the expansions because we spend a lot of dev time making the expansions, and then you pay us a monthly fee because there's a ton of work in keeping an MMO up and running and updated throughout the year. That is the money you have to spend to play our game. That is the deal we are making. That, whereas other things obfuscate so much, they put so much behind tiers, behind feeling like, oh, I'm getting this, but I could be getting a better value here, or I could be doing something else. I really do enjoy it more when it's just like, here is the transaction we are making. We are a business, you are the consumer. Would you like this? Yes or no? And I feel much more comfortable making that value exchange than playing the whole like, well, am I getting my money's worth out of this that I have to do with other things?
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you, Charles, for that discussion and topic. It was awesome. And thank you for listening to the Game Informer show. We will be back next week with a new episode. Once again, GameInformer.com/subscribe. Get yourself a Game Informer magazine subscription. It's the #1 way to support Game Informer. I believe if you subscribe now, you can still get our World of Warcraft midnight issue, which also has our 2025 Game of the Year awards inside as well, an extra thick issue of the magazine. You can also find it right now on newsstands and bookstores, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million in US, and in many places abroad. Still rolling out overseas. Still don't know exactly which stores, which exact stores in each country they are in yet. We're sort of like learning that information just anecdotally, but we will update you once we get kind of like a confirmed list of like, here is the store that the magazine will appear in this specific country. But we have been seeing them out in the wild in different parts of the world, which has been cool. Twitch. Follow us on Twitch. We've got 2 weekly streams. We have a Wednesday stream, usually streaming the latest and greatest releases. And every Friday, we have our Super Replay series. Last week, Charles and I embarked on a new Super Replay series playing the entirety of Sonic and the Black Knight. And dare I say, we're probably going to finish the game this week because
it's really short. I didn't realize how short it was. I think there's and I might be making this up, I think there's a semblance of a New Game Plus, or there's ways to go back and really, unlock all the stuff. So maybe if we finish it and I'm like, this wouldn't be that hard to 100%, maybe we do like a 3rd episode or something. I don't know.
Completionist run.
But yeah,
just keep playing it over and over again to see if you get new stuff.
That's what it's called, Super Replay. Just keep playing the same. Honestly, the game is as good as I remembered. Which is to say, I remember thinking it was janky and weirdly hard, but thinking it was so cool. And honestly, I'm still like, this game has sauce, man. I have all the aesthetic decisions I'm such a big fan of. It's so weird, and I love it.
Yeah, as a passenger that this is their first real exposure to this, I'm like, man, this looks awful, but I love it.
I'm so glad I'm not playing this video game myself. Yeah,
it's fun. He has a sword. You guys are allergic to joy and fantasy.
You didn't warn me it was a talking. So yeah, it's like a
Caliburn
snarky sword.
Has eyes and a British accent, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
He calls
of
him
the game is him bickering with Sonic about whether or not he's a knave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you want, right, Eric?
yeah. You got Grimoire Vice from Nier, but it's a sword now, and it's talking to Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, okay.
It kind of is, actually. Yeah.
Crazy.
So yeah, tune in this Friday for what could very well be the conclusion of our Sonic and the Black Knight Super Replay. We should start that series. Secret we started
Replay.
We just don't tell anyone.
We just don't tell people when we start streaming. Yeah, we get no viewers.
It's the Valve's deadlock of Super Replay. You just have to find out.
Yeah. Unlisted YouTube links.
Guess the characters.
This is a bit that could evolve.
Yeah,
we could do something with this.
You can follow us on social media. I'm at Marcus Stewart 7. Charles is at ChuckDuck365. Eric is at CMoosey. And yeah, visit GameInformer.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share. Subscribe to all the podcasts on all your podcast websites. All of that stuff helps us out a lot, and we appreciate it. But yes, we will see you next week with another episode of the Game Informer Show. Until then, hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye.